Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody, and welcome on this. I guess it's the 2nd January in 2022 for a brand new edition. Let me get the sign in there properly. Brand new edition of Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. It's our 832nd show. We actually made it through 2021 and 2020. Wasn't sure that we all would, but still here, still doing this program low these many years since we did our first one back in 2002. I think one reason people tune into the show and watch the program, even if they don't stay for the whole 3 or 3.5 hours, is just, well, is Dave okay? He's still alive. Is he still yapping and yammering? They don't necessarily need to hear everything I'm saying or see all the fun segments that we do on the program. It's kind of just sort of checking in. Yeah, I think we've all done that with broadcasters and TV shows and radio shows that you form an alliance with. And you say, oh, I was listening to this guy back in 2007, and he's still here. Yay! And then I'm going to go on with the rest of my life. But there's a certain feeling about that we kind of that I understand and that I welcome for whatever reason that you are tuning in to Dave's Gone By. Welcome. I hope you got a chance to be with us on our New Year's Eve show. We did another one of those. I never went back and counted just how many that we've done over the years at this point. It was almost, I don't want to say when it first started as a lark, but I was at a radio station out on Long Island. I was doing my show. I wasn't even working there yet because for a while I was just kind of doing the show and brokering the program and so forth. And then I started working at the station and became a board operator there and did some other stuff. So about 2 or 3, maybe 4 years into my years at the station, I was realizing that nobody was doing live stuff on any of the holidays. Nobody wanted to be, or it was pre-recorded stuff, or they were just throwing on whatever they had on cassette in a vault just to have programming during hours when people wouldn't want to be doing anything live. And me, I thought, this is a community Long Island radio station. Let me do something on New Year's Eve. It's not like I'm going to a lot of parties, not like I'm getting big invites to some big Hollywood stars island to say, oh yeah, bring an overnight bag and come on down. We'll send your private jet, and you and your missus and your dogs can come on. No. I mean, it amazes me. Maybe it shouldn't as I get older, but how many people in my circle and how many folks I know don't actually do much on New Year's Eve. I always thought I was the outlier. I was, oh, everybody else is going to these fun things and they've got plans and they go away for the weekend and they get a hotel or a B&B. They just have parties. They go and they're somewhere like the Aragon Ballroom at 12:59. And there's champagne corks popping and confetti going. And it occurs to me, I don't really get into that. It's not my thing. At 12:59 on an evening, I kind of just want to be home anyway. And I'm not a party person. I'm not a big crowd scene fun person. I'm always skeptical of big lots of people kind of fun. If more than 5 or 10 people are doing anything at one particular moment, that isn't like concentrating or focusing on a movie or a play. But if we're all supposed to be having dance fun, like, not for me. But I'm realizing more and more that, and this is even pre-pandemic, people just have normal lives on New Year's. They hang with whoever they're close to if they can, or they go to a little get together or a gathering early in the evening. They come home, they put on Ryan Seacrest or back in the day Dick Clark, and they're just like, it's New Year's. Boom, wake up, hope the next year's better than the one that just ended. And that's my life, and that's a lot of people's lives too, which it took me many, many years to realize. And certainly during the pandemic, and depending on what state you're in, not emotional state as well as what state of the union you're in. You might have just been like, ah, another day, not gonna go hang with hundreds of people because look at the planet we're living in. Just gonna that may not even stay up to midnight. Even I don't do that. Even I don't at this age. I'm 57 years old. Will be, God willing, 58 in 2 weeks. Even where I am now, I'm not one of those people who's like, I'm tired. I think I'll turn in at 9:30 on New Year's. I still want to see, the great shift, the big overnight. Even if I miss the actual second when one year turns into another, I just want to be there for that moment, be present for no particular reason. I don't know why. It makes no damn difference. There will be a point, I'm sure, in my 60s, let's say, where it's just like, okay, I've done some work. I'm a little groggy. I may wake up tomorrow. I may not. Fine. I'll get up. It'll be the next year. Good. Just let me remind you, if I write 1 or 2 or 3 checks this year, I'm going to cross out the 1, make a little initial. No, sorry, it's wrong year. We'll all be doing that for a few weeks, won't we? So much worse years ago, man, before everybody started paying checks by Zelle and automatic bank things, where you literally, that the next 2 months of bills you had to pay, you would be putting on this. Oh, yeah. And it didn't. Well, I guess it does matter because you can't backdate a check for like a year and have someone still cash it. But I think even the banks knew. There's you meant 2019, you're at 2018, we'll cash it, so it's fine, it's good. So, I was up and awake and alive and whatever last Friday, which would have been December 31st of 2021. And of course, best laid plans. If the past 2 years has taught us anything, it's best laid plans, ... So Joyce and I, we see the weather forecast all week and we're like, looks like it's going to be okay out. Looks like it's going to be in the high 40s around 11 o'clock, midnight-ish. Let's do it outside. We did it outside about 3 years ago. It was a lot of fun. It was nice to have a change of scene, right? We did it out on the porch where we're living, here on Long Island with my mom. And so let's do it again. It'll be cold, but we'll bundle up. I'll put on my mucklucks and my all-important long johns. Anybody who knows me knows how important those are to me. And the hat and a funny costume, and let's do it. And so literally at 9:25, because we went on the air at 10 o'clock Eastern PM. Normally we're on, as you know, 9 to noon, Saturday mornings, but this was a New Year's Eve show. We go on to celebrate the change of the year. And about 9:25, and previously we decorated a little bit outside on the porch, and we brought out a table, and we said, okay, we'll put this here, and we'll plug this here, and we, in 10 minutes we'll be ready, we'll go on. And then we get out there, and we're setting up again, about 9:30 in the evening. And I'm plugging the computer in, and she's moving stuff around back and getting a chair ready and this. And of course, the all-important giant ketchup bottle for our scenery. And then, I'm feeling like, as I'm moving stuff around, my arms are getting wet, my hands getting wet, my head, even though I'm wearing a hat, I feel the top of my hat, and I'm like, well, that's getting moist. And then I look at the computer, and there's like drops, water drops getting all over it. Because it isn't really raining. It's kind of this like, this misty rain. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be, weather person, when you see this hour by hour by hour forecast, and it says 15% chance of precipitation, you really don't think of it, right? 87%, 93%, you look at that and bring an umbrella, do everything inside, not really going to rain, it's fine. But 10, 20, 25% even, you're like, it's really very good chance we're not actually going to be in the rain. So there we were, and we don't actually have a canopy over the porch. So there's no real good way to keep, first of all, the computer from getting kind of wet, and from me and my wife getting kind of wet and facing pneumonia or something. So we're literally at like 20 to 10 after we spent this time organizing things and running the cable and getting the light ready. We're like, you know what? Nah, not this year. Let's so we run up back to here where I normally do the show. I throw on some crap on the walls. I put what is behind that 8 anyway? What is that? I didn't see that on the wall, and my hand is on it. I think this is that is so weird. This is the weirdest thing ever. I'm seeing a dot. Do you see? I'll bet that's on my computer. I must be getting brain fog, ladies and gentlemen. And literally, I'm looking at something. I'm seeing a spot on the wall behind the number 8, and well, you just watch me do it. And then it's like, oh wait a minute, there's schmutz on my computer screen. This is the idiot you're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, so we run upstairs, right, back into the house. We grab the light, we grab the computer, we grab the extension cord, we grab the design stuff and my papers and everything else, and just within 10 minutes again, it was 20 to 10, now it's 10 to 10, and we're just flying around the room. I'm changing my outfit because now I'm in, I've gone from 48 degrees outside to about 69, 71 degrees in this room. So it's not like I can just jump on the air and be dressed in my coat. So it's got, the coat goes off, the shirt, all the long underwear I'm wearing has to go back off. I'm peeling, I'm putting on. My wife is running around helping. And then amazingly enough, by 5 to 10, right, with 5 minutes to spare, I log in, I get the stream going, and there we go. And we go on, and the Zoom works, and we did the show. Kind of made me think of, again, Best Laid Plans, and reminded me how when I had a special to do back in the day, not even best, still back in the day, when I would do these Tony Award marathon specials or these New Year's specials or whatever else, the days of planning and the working out of things and the making sure and getting there to the radio station like 2 hours early to memorize some of the stuff I was going to say and go through it and plan this. And then when we run into the station after the other people clear out, you sit here, I sit here, I get the papers up here, you do this, I mark this up, right? And then, make sure this is the phone number that the engineer has to call so it gets them on the air, right? And to be fair, back in the day, most of the time I didn't have this expansive amount of time. I usually had an hour or maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to do the show. So it was more proscribed. But now it's more like, we'll do it. And there's still that panic in me, that anxiety, I might say, before a show. Not like 2 or 3 minutes before a show, but usually about a quarter to, when I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to do this. What did I forget? There must be something. And is this guy or so-and-so going to text in and say that they can't make it, right? That sort of fear, that worry. And I still go through that. And I still plan the show all week long on paper and organize it and think, well, how long will this take and how long will that take? But, I just love the idea that, after a certain amount of planning and figuring, okay, we're going to do it this way for the New Year's show. Everything gets flipped around within a couple of minutes. That instant decision that you have to make of like, no, it does not make sense to do this outside. We could get electrocuted. Let's run in and do it. And it got done. And it got done basically as well or better than it would have had our original plans gone through. So I hope you got to see our New Year's Eve broadcast. We did it on, as I said, last Friday night into early Saturday morning. It did get, it was a little later into Saturday morning than I expected. It was sort of like, okay, this does happen with my shows. Anybody who watches it knows. Like the first hour or so or two are very like, okay, especially when I have a special. It's like, I got 5 minutes for this person, and this person comes on. Then I add this person, I take away that person, boom, boom, boom. And if everybody zooms in at the right time, it should be like clockwork. It should progress like a professional program, which despite one or two people having internet trouble and, sometimes my wanting to talk to someone for 7 minutes rather than 5, or deciding, hey, I think I'll leave that person in to chat with this person because that'll be kind of fun. For about an hour and a half, it really progressed exactly as I'd imagined it. And then the next hour and a half, it's kind of like, okay, everybody into the Zoom room. It's a party. You can stay. You can go. Oh, oops, I accidentally let you go and you can't get back in. And then we were supposed to end. We usually do these New Year's shows. The whole idea of them is that from about 10 o'clock for a good 2 hours, we do the show. We hit New Year's, and then it's just basically thank yous. We don't even have to stay on till like 12:30. That's just about having maybe one last person to count off the new year with. Have a great one. See you next regular episode of Dave's Gone By. Thanks so much for tuning in. And 12:15, off to bed. But this year, it was just one of those things, man. It was just a lot of, we were talking to people who weren't in New York yet. So they were in other parts of the country where it hadn't hit midnight yet. So suddenly, as we start talking and having fun and joking and doing trivia, suddenly it would get to like 10 to whatever it was, 1 o'clock in the morning or something here. And he's like, yeah, you know what? Let's just get you through the new year. You're in Chicago. Just stay with us. We'll count you off for Chicago New Year, and then we'll go off the air a little bit after 1 hour time. And that happens too. And again, but let me thank some folks again for check out how many amazing people we had on the episode last Friday. It was our friend Don Pearl from Colorado, playwright, television writer John Pielmeyer, my writer friend Iris Dorbian, Leslie Hoban Blake, who will be joining us later in this episode to play the Today Yesterday trivia game, alongside David Sheward, who was not able to make our New Year's show, and we've been explaining why the last couple of weeks. We are expecting and hoping to see him today. You want to talk about well, I'll get to that. But anyway, Jamie Bernard, the book writer and critic, and now she's an editor who helps people get their books published. Steve, the Whistler Herbst, who gave us wonderful trivia questions, and maybe the highlight of the whole show of his whistling an entire Clair de Lune alongside accompanied music. That will be when people talk about that particular episode of the show. That will be in. There was a guy who whistled to Clair de Lune. Yeah, they did that. We did that on Dave's Gone By. Stephen Fish, my old friend from high school, was there. Ronald Rand, the actor, and has written books about acting. And then Jason Gra, the marvelously talented cabaret and theater guy. Our friends from Colorado, Fred Cleaver and Wendy Hybe. Christine Lavin, the beloved, who was on our show about 15 years ago, came back just a couple of weeks ago, and it was wonderful to have her for the New Year's program as well. The delightful singer-songwriter and also rock journalist Sylvie Simmons, my old friend and former guest co-host of this program for a few years, Jeff Goodman, was zoomed in from Las Vegas. Adam Glass, my cousin, he was there, and he was quietly in the background, but pitching in whenever he could. Moshe Denberg, the musician, the klezmer guy. Dr. Sue Horowitz and her positive singing. And it's true, we played her to end the whole show. We played one of her amusing, positive songs. It was a really nice way to end the show. Richie Goldklang, who was in a band in the 1960s and is still alive and well, spent most of his career as an IT guy. Eva Heinemann, the theater critic from her show High Drama. My mother-in-law, Rosemary Weil, my mom, Brenda Lefkowitz, Vicki Quade, who will also be joining us today as part of our Today Yesterday trivia quiz. She's in Chicago. She is, of course, doing the show that she co-created, Late Night Catechism, out there at the Greenhouse Theater. And Mary Sheng Barnage, a theater critic, very notable one from Chicago. They joined us in like the last part of the show. And Rabbi Saul Solomon, who was there premiering the promo for his solo show, Shalom Dammit, and Evening with Rabbi Saul Solomon, that he hopes to bring back COVID willing, at some point this year or next to some theater that will have him. So, oh, and Richard Shore, who was the musical director on that program, and he zoomed in as well. So, all the way out from Colorado. So you can see it's the show, of course, is archived at davesgoneby.com. It's a lot of fun. It's also archived right here on this Facebook page. You know, after this show's over, if you want to watch last week's, just scroll down. So yeah, so I thank everybody who was involved in putting that show, well, making that show happen and giving us such a fun, delightful time. We didn't get my old friend Ozer on, my oldest friend I've known since third grade. He tried logging in, but just had some computer issues, which was unfortunate because it'd be nice to spend some time with him. I think he's going to be on my birthday show, so that'd be all right. And then also Art Paul Schlosser couldn't make it. He sent a video that we just didn't have time to play of him playing one of his, the man must have written 3,000 songs by now over the years. I think he's got 60 albums out. He's a street singer and outsider artist, shall we say, from Madison, Wisconsin, and still doing what he does. As a matter of fact, if you go to his website, his paintings are on sale, and they're $50 a piece. So, you can get an original Schlosser. If you get an original Schlosser, just cut in the line of the COVID testing because you need to be seen immediately. But Art Paul Schlosser, check his stuff out at his websites. It would have been nice to have him on for the new year, but that did not happen. Anyway, enough about the New Year's program. Welcome on this January 8th, 2022, to our first show after the New Year's program. It's called Just a Matter of Time. That's all it is. It's just a matter of time. I've told you that I work in a school district, right? And we did come back. We had the whole Christmas week off, which is one of the wonderful reasons you want to work for a school. The pay is crap. All right. I'm lucky I don't have to work near children, but teachers and other administrative and secretarial folks do. I deal with some other stuff and in a whole different building, but it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, I just got this, for me, is a fairly ideal position working. If I have to work in a school district, I don't have to be around little kids. That's 6 ways to Sunday, the best situation. And, and we get this time off that you don't necessarily get in other jobs. I mean, some places do close between Christmas and New Year's, but we also get another week in the winter. Even the teachers get all summer off, but even the staff get a couple of extra weeks throughout the year. It's pretty neat. So we figured we'd come back and maybe the COVID curve would go down, right? Maybe the Omicron would spike like crazy, which it has been, because it's one of these little virus things that mutates 20 times more quickly and powerfully and is so much more easily catchable than the Delta. There must have been an alpha at some point, the beta, the gamma, the delta, of course, the deadly delta. And then this Omicron, which, suddenly, okay, that curve, man, hundreds of people, thousands of people, and it's just like, oh, we get it now. It's not remotely as dangerous as Delta, but, if 1 out of 10, or maybe 2 out of 10 people get Delta, 7 out of 10 are going to get this damned Omicron. Everybody's going to get it. As I call in the show, it's just a matter of time, right? It's going to happen. You just have to brace yourself. You have to be as careful as you possibly can. And even if you are, right, and you've got boosting and vaxxed, it means you'll get it, right? But you'll wake up, you'll have a headache for a day or two, stuffy nose, whatever. Maybe, God forbid, if you get some breathing problems, then you've got to really deal with it. But from what I'm hearing, and I'm working in this school district, and every day It's amazing. I mean, back in the Delta day, we would get 1 or 2 letters a week from our superintendent saying, okay, um, we have one student who tested positive. They were in school a day ago. Anybody who was around them has been notified, and if necessary, if they were around this person for more than 15 minutes, the quarantine. If not, it's no big deal. But we're wearing masks. We're scrubbing everything down. We have hazmat teams come in they don't, but hazmat teams coming down, scraping the virus off the walls. They're going onto the ceilings, spraying brooms with Lysol and just going. So everything's pristine, and we keep the schools open. And we would get letters like this, because I've been working at this place. Well, I got the job already during the first wave of the pandemic. And so, been there, and I've seen weeks go by with no letters, or one letter saying, in this school, this kid, this staff member, in this school, this teacher, in this school, boom, and then nothing, right? And then a couple of weeks ago, it's sort of like, oh, we have 2 teachers here and 5 students here, and then like every day, from before the holiday vacation, and then coming back afterwards, and it's like these students, this here, this. I mean, they're not naming names; it's just numbers. It's just a count of people who are testing positive. They're out. You call up to a building, you try to speak to someone. Oh no, they're home for 10 days. They can't necessarily tell you, oh, they have it, right? But they can say, yeah, they're not in today. Oh, well, they won't be in tomorrow. No, they'll be in. They look at the calendar. They're expected to be in, the 11th. Fine, right? And more and more and more, just this depletion of people. And the good news is, and you can see this from the charts and the graphs all over America, nobody's necessarily dying. I mean, yes, there's still a couple of, like 2,000 people in America a day dying. But, considering the way the curve is, the parabola of this thing has been straight up. Like there was one point a week or two ago, there was 1 million people in one day testing positive for Omicron. Think about it, 1 million people in a day testing positive. And yet the death count is still like 1,400. Not that 1,400 is a tiny number, but if this had still been the Delta wave, by logical assumption, there would be 1 million people testing positive, and 12,000 kicking off in a day. It hasn't been like that. So we know that Omicron is not, for most people, the horror that Delta is. And so, it's like 10 little Indians. Eventually it gets to everyone. There's a point when nobody I worked directly with had anything. And then suddenly it's like, oh, the boss I used to work for, she's like, well, my son got it. He got quarantined. He's in the basement. It's fine. We're staying away from him. He's doing his own laundry, and we run away from him whenever we see. And this was like back almost a year ago. And then it was like, okay, so it glancingly touched someone who is related to someone who has it, right? And then now it's like, a couple of weeks ago, one person that I work directly with, although I'm not specifically close to this person for more than 15 minutes at a time, unmasked, whatever. And suddenly she's like, weirdly enough, I had a little bit of a little stuffing, I'm feeling a little sore throat, and let me check. She checked, and out of the blue, right, turned out, go figure, right? And the interesting thing is she checked 3 times. She took one test, came back negative, took another test in a different place, came back negative, and then wanted to be absolutely sure, because it was literally around the holidays that she was going to be with people. It's like, let me take one more, and that came back, and she knew, oh yeah, weirdly enough, and it was over in a day. She had a quarantine for 2 weeks, but she had it, was really no big. She almost felt well enough the one day she had it to come into work, but she had it, thank God, right? And then Her husband tested positive. He didn't even, he tested just because, and not a thing. Okay. And then another person I work with who waited forever to be vaccinated. Maybe didn't believe in it or whatever this person's reasons were. Just, year had gone by. And I'm the needle phobic guy. I'm the guy who's terrified of getting stuck with anything, and not even the chemicals in it. I'm just saying, like, I don't like needles. I did it, I got vaxxed and boosted and stuff. And so he finally, I think by ultimatum, almost of the school district, like, if you don't work here, if you want to be crossing into the boundaries that are part of this public school, you got. So he did. Finally, he did. He got both shots. And then he got COVID. Which is fine. It may have, God knows. He barely, little under the weather, was fine. And then just this past week, another person. I don't work with that many people. This is what I'm telling you here. I work with about 4 people in this building day after day. That's it. We've got this building to ourselves, essentially, and a ton of equipment. And I work with this other person who's really careful, who's, and is very, very careful about his diet and so forth. But he works, his wife is someone who works in another school district. And lo and behold, he gets the call on Thursday morning that, oh, well, she's got, she has it. And now, I'm like, oh, okay. And he gets this call, and he's around the whole day. And at one point I was like, dude, what are you doing here? You A, need to get tested at some point, and B, get out of here. No offense, and you're a great guy and everything, but you have been in direct contact day after day after day with someone who has coronavirus. Perhaps out of caution, and since it is, it's a Thursday anyway, just until you find out something, maybe get away from humans, including me. And what do you know? I get the call yesterday when happily we're all off because of a snowstorm that happened here in New York. And it's like, oh, yeah, his wife was positive, and he tested positive too. He's home. He'll be home for it. I'm like, so point is, and the best part, and this is magnificent. There's another person, someone who works in a whole different office, but also for the district. I saw him on Monday. I didn't see him at school. I saw him at the bagel place that I go to 2 or 3 times a week for a breakfast treat. If I don't want to, have some pastry in the morning, if I don't, whatever, I'll just, it's nice to start the day. It reminds me of my my work years in New York City, to just get a nice, hot, cut, buttered, toasted, everything, or garlic bagel with butter, just. And if you're going to start a day where you're going to sit at a desk for 8.5 hours and do this and do that, and you can't go anywhere, then why not start it with a coffee? It's good. So I go to this deli, and there's this other fella who works in our district, right? And he's there, and he doesn't look so hot, And I'm standing, I go, oh, it's him. Oh, yeah. And he's very easy to recognize. He's like 8.5 feet tall and 280 pounds. And it's just like, how? Because when I see him, I was like, oh, hey, hi. And I can see, like, his eyes are a little bleary. His nose is sort of running. And he said, well, he's all, got a cold, whatever. And the man doesn't have a mask on, right? And I understand it's a restaurant if you're eating, but he's not. He's waiting there just to get food to bring home. And he said, yeah, I'm not in school this week. And it doesn't dawn on me. I found out later. The man had COVID, literally walking around with it in a bagel place, on the line, unmasked, fucking talking to me. I'm like, because he is 5 times my size, I didn't say, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was just like, oh, okay, feel better. See you soon. I just cleared out of there as soon as I possibly could. But there's this idea of, as the name of the show goes, just a matter of time. So, my wife and I are panicking. I'll get tested. It's bound to be. I'm feeling, knock wood, fine. Every time I get a little flushed from exertion, I feel, oh my God, am I getting a fever? Or, well, I shoveled yesterday, so it's a, am I still feeling it? Am I still sweating from my shoveling, right? Or I do have a little bit of a headache, but I get those sometimes. And I'm like a little bit foggier than usual. Is it the COVID fog, or is it just, well, no, Dave is in his usual idiocy, or he's 57, he's not 27, so when he reaches into the interstices of his brain for a joke or a thought or a line or an idea, it's a little harder to clear through the weeds. Would be anyway, no disease or not. It's just, he's 57-year-old Dave. There's a lot of clutter in there, more all the time. You just have to, he needs a rotor rooter to sort of drill through that. No, that's not the word. What's the word? Aphasia. Oh, let me go. There it is. And by the time you find the line or the word, your timing's a little bit off of what it used to be. I don't think it's COVID. I don't think I have it. Of course, my wife is doubly scared of it. So we are just taking it day by day at this point, as we all are. And that, if you haven't gotten it yet, there will be a point when the minority of Americans, and probably the world, will not have had some kind of variant of this disease. Even if it turns out that Omicron spins its way down in 2 more weeks, let's say 3 more weeks, and then a little quiet, and then yet another ridiculous variant that's even more contagious than Omicron, but really turns out, I mean, hangnail. Oh, yeah, it's COVID. It doesn't even, you don't even think about it. I got my COVID. I got it. I'm done with it. I'm good. I'll tell you the one thing that's getting me through this whole period is, am I eating better? Am I taking more care of I'm sleeping more, for sure. But am I really being very careful about what I eat? Being really, more vegetables? But no, life's short. If I want a burger, I'm getting a burger. Right? If I want, sushi is good for you. But if I want this, if I want that. However, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't had a chance to show this yet. I've had this for a couple of weeks in the fridge. But remember, a few weeks ago, I showed you some items that I was able to buy when I went shopping near where my wife's parents live. And I mentioned this whole thing of one of the rare bits of fun and excitement for me. Because, haven't done any traveling. I've been to Manhattan 3 times in the last almost 2 years. Well, since March anyway, March of 2020. There's nothing going on. There's no parties, there's nothing. But it's still exciting for me if I can get to go into like a supermarket that I haven't been to before, especially in a different neighborhood, because they're going to have different stuff. I mean, I shop for, me and my wife and sometimes my mom. And so, I go to the same 1 or 2 supermarkets 3 times a week. And I know the aisles. And I do the same routine. I should probably just change up the routine now that you don't have to go up one aisle and down the other specifically as restricted by the store. I should just start at the milk end and come out at the fruit and vegetable end. Oh, won't that be a special day? But no, you have a pattern and you get what round and around and around, loop-de-loop. And then there's another store locally that I get some of the stuff that I can't get at the first store. I'm fine. But I went to a couple of times when we go into Queens, where my in-laws live. There's a supermarket there. And it's still new and exciting to me. I've only been there 3-4 times. And it's a Polish, or what had been a Polish neighborhood, it's always changing. And there's just this whole aisle of snacks and beverages and weird foodstuffs from Eastern Europe. And wow, I don't have to get on a plane and go to Latvia. I can just go to the aisle of this supermarket and boom, Latvia, staring me in the face. If you go to like where they sell the fish or things like that, there's different ways that they make stuff, right? Different kinds of weird breads. And it's heaven for me. It's like, oh my God, something novel, something new. So you saw me on this program showing Eurocreme cookie. Who heard Eurocreme? What is this? You can get it on Amazon if you want to pay like $15 a box. You go to the supermarket, it's like $3. And they're they're cookies. They're nice cookies with a creamy center and chocolate on the top. And I guess the cream that's in the middle, whether it's chocolate or vanilla, they call Eurocreme. And they're very tasty. I didn't like the hazelnut one very much, but the vanilla, very nice, Eurocreme. And it's just this idea of, yes, I'm sure Keebler makes an exact replica or makes their own of this. But the idea that this is some weird cookie that is made somewhere out there, 6,000 miles away, right? In a country near, I've been in Eastern Europe, but a country that I haven't been to. Wow. And of course, you all know that for a couple of weeks I was drinking cocktail. Cocktail. It's not a cocktail. It's a soft drink. It's a soda that is an equivalent of Coke, but it doesn't have caffeine, and it's all herbal stuff. And the name of it is COCKTA, cocktail. So of course, I'm getting on camera and turn it so you won't see the TA. But it wasn't so much about the dirty joke. It's just this idea of there's a soda somewhere that they're churning out by the tens of thousands of bottles that people are drinking, and it's not Coke or Pepsi or Diet 7-Up or Faygo cocktail. Wow! I have another wow for you, ladies and gentlemen. I have the biggest wow of all. Ladies and gentlemen, I found this in that supermarket. First of all, it's from a brand called Hortex. Because I know if I'm thirsty, I'm Apple and Eve, no, that doesn't quite do it. Tropicana, no. Hortex, yummy. So, I saw this. I'm like, I have to have it. And thank God it wasn't expensive. I mean, it's a bottle of juice. But even if this were like $10, I don't know if I could have resisted getting. So, and not really, sort of having a hint of what this was, but just seeing this. And like, I am going to buy this. I am going to try drinking this. And we're just going to see. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever had yourself a delicious glass of Hortex Barszczyk? This is real. Hortex Barszczyk. Look for it in the red container. Czerwony, which I guess is a Polish thing, or maybe it's Czech. Doskonale na ciepło, which is, if you can tell, well, maybe I won't tell you yet what's in here. One of the ingredients is in Warsaw. This is a Polish brand of juice. This kind of gives you a clue of what it is. And oh boy, let's give this a shake. Let's be really healthy today. Let's pour some good antibodies into Dave's system as we get on with more of the program. Oh, let's look at this. You see the color of that? Yes, you're drinking gypsy blood, right, right there, ladies and gentlemen. Gonna close this up. Delicious Hortex Barszczyk, which is, if you can tell, actually just beet juice. Ooh, savory. And it's one of those weird things where you start drinking it and you're like, ooh, excuse me. This is not, it's the beet juice going down. This is not what I expect from a glass of juice. And it's got like a little salty, almost more like a soup, which it would be. I don't know why they just don't slap the label borscht on it, and then you would know what the hell it is because a little sour cream would go really well. But the weird part is maybe it's just my taste buds, or not being used to something and then going, wait, let me check this. So have a sip, and it's like, right, that first sip, you want to run out of the room screaming, sort of like vodka, I guess. And then the second sip is like, wait a minute, this actually isn't bad. This actually is okay. And by the third sip, you're like, I can see why people drink this. I wouldn't necessarily want to start my day with a layer of pancakes, strip of bacon, cup of coffee, and a cold fresh glass of Hortex Barszczyk. And yet, I do get it. But the weird thing is, I would heat this up and put sour cream in it or something. Can't be beat. Except it is. Okay. Hortex Barszczyk. Now coming to a supermarket near you. Anyway, what else do I want to share with you on this Saturday morning? Look at this. It even got, that's how potent this stuff is. It even got like stains when I was pouring it on my paperwork, but it's fine. On this episode of the show, which we're already 45 minutes into, ladies and gentlemen, we have Greeley Crimes and Old Times, our Today, Yesterday trivia quiz that'll be starting in not too far from now. We've got Leslie Hoban Blake and David Sheward coming to play our weekly trivia quizzes, a history quiz, and the rules basically are that most of the questions, nearly all of them, have to do with something that occurred in history on this date. So January 8th of 1647, January 8th of 1892, on this date in history. And then there's very goofy, weird questions about that, which you at home can see if you can answer. And of course, you watch our panelists try to answer them too. So it's going to be David Sheward, Leslie Hoban Blake, and our beloved Vicki Quade from out in Chicago playing the game. And make sure I don't have any text messages from them saying they're down for the count. No, they're here. Yay. Also, man, I wish this. There's the COVID, the Omicron globules just pouring down the back of my throat. Here, as I said, I don't think I have it. I don't know if I have it. I'm just likely to get it, as are all of you. We might do Dave's Big Dictionary. We'll see. I'll do a little segment saying bye to some major folks who passed away over the past week. We lost two people who were, enormous really in the film industry, and one person who just went right, I guess it was right before New Year's, right? Betty White didn't quite make it to the new year. Didn't quite get to the 100th. Or she did, or did they celebrate her 100th? Or was it coming up in 2 more weeks? Well, either way, doesn't really matter much to her now. But yeah, so we'll say a fond farewell. And I think I played this for you last week, or I mentioned it if I had time during the New Year's show, that it was just so ridiculously or weirdly, not ironic. I'm not sure, I can't find the word. But when Rabbi Saul did his benediction, if you will, for the year past, his last rabbinical reflection, which was, just a recount of what happened over the year. And then he ended with a poem that was remembering all the wonderful folks that the world had lost in 2021. And he ended and said, well, things might still be all right because, hey, we still have Betty White 3 days later. So it's a guy, you want to talk about a Jewish Kanina Hura, which the rabbi would know about. He's like, put. He should have spit through his fingers, and she'd still be with us. But anywho, gotta say goodbye to a couple of people. And we do have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, wherein we go to a place called Dotsero. Right? Have you ever? Dotsero, Colorado. Sero. So Joyce and I lived in Colorado for a bunch of years, and I started writing poems, one poem a week, about all these different places in, Colorado. And I share one with you every week, and I'm still writing new ones. I've got about 170. Oh my God. Oh, that Hortex Barszczyk. I literally had 3 sips of the stuff, and now it's like, whoa, I'm a font of gas. What a wonderful, what a product this is. Hortex Barszczyk. Get some now. I know that it's not a paid whatever. I'm not a sponsor or anything. I'm it's kind of like an LSD subject back in the late 1950s. I'm trying it before you have to try it, right? So I'm the experimental test subject, and so you'll see what it does to me, how it affects my health, how it affects my speech pattern, and how my burping and my other functions are affected by Hortex Barszczyk. Savory. Anyway, so that's what we got coming up for you on Dave's Gone By. Why don't we, let's see, let's do, got a couple of minutes, a few minutes before we get David and Leslie and Vicki into the Daverhood to play the quiz. So why don't we get the sad stuff out of the way first, right? And say farewell and have some memories of a couple of people we lost over the past few days. So I mentioned Betty White, and we all love Betty. It's amazing how much more love Betty White got than, say, Ed Asner, even though we all loved Ed Asner, even though he was on the same damn program. And it's like, Ed Asner, and we love him here because he was on the show and he was a wonderful guest. And he was the voice of the guy in Up. But Ed Asner went and said, Ed Asner, boom. Betty White goes. For some reason, I know she was 99, which is not the same as 94 or 3 or whatever Asner was, right? So okay, attention must be paid. But I hope Dick Van Dyke gets that kind of love when he goes. But it's like, Betty White, no, we thought Betty White. Betty White was great. Remember her in the commercials with the other guy we thought would never die, Abe Vigoda? Years ago, there was a Super Bowl commercial where she tackled him. Yay. So, and Betty White from the Mary Tyler Moore Show and stuff. So, yeah, and of course, Golden Girls. So we do say farewell to her. And she was an important television person for all those years and went through all the permutations of hostess and game show and great comic foil, and then, just personality, just someone that you were glad to see every time she popped up somewhere, just because, that moment of saying, oh, not only are they still alive, but she looks great for 87, right? She doesn't look a day over 78. And there is something to that. We want to keep the people who've given us a good time in our lives, even peripherally, even just to check in. Oh, she's still alive. Those alive or dead websites. And it's kind of, alive, dead, okay. Oh, alive, yay, alive, right? So she's no longer alive. We say farewell to her. We also say farewell to a couple of major people this week in film. Peter Bogdanovich, I don't know if you knew this, but Peter Bogdanovich, one of the vanguard, one of the major filmmakers of the 1960s and into the 70s. Someone who was essentially on that level of Scorsese and Coppola, Mazursky, Woody Allen. I mean, he was right up there, mainly because of some of those early films that he did. I mean, I remember the first time I was on television, a little black and white television, and saw The Last Picture Show about 30 years ago. I was just blown away by it. Didn't realize, I should see this movie. I've heard a bit about it. It's supposedly really good. And I was just like, whoa. And this was his first movie. He'd been kind of a cinema studies guy, a theater writer, an interviewer. I think I could be mistaken on this. I think he did a whole book of his conversations with Orson Welles. I might be wrong. But, and then seeing the framing of that film and the tenderness of it, the hauntedness of it, the feel of it, and Cloris Leachman's performance. I mean, I had just seen her as Phyllis and Frau Blucher on Young Frankenstein, and then suddenly seeing her performance in this was just, I was like, ah. Oh. And I saw the film again, I don't know, a few years ago. It didn't hit me on the same level. I still realized it was really good, but that first time, and thank you, Peter Bogdanovich, for giving me that experience of discovering just how an American movie of the 1970s, about the 1950s, can just pull in the recesses and the depths of things. And good for and when I was a kid, I didn't go to the movies that much, but I did go, and sometimes I went with my grandma, right? My late grandma Lucy, my dad's mom, my late dad's late mom, and we went to see What's Up, Doc, which was a zany comedy done in the old school, the Howard Hawks, Frank Capra kind of style, by Peter Bogdanovich. So he wanted to prove at that point that he was a great filmmaker and he can work in a totally different genre from the Last Picture Show. So he got Barbra Streisand, right? And I think it was not Eric Siegel, might have been, or George Siegel. Forgive me if I'm wrong about that. So, but he got her at the peak of her being a goofy comic leading lady, and threw them into this farce that I have not seen in, oh my God, probably 45 years or so. I should probably look in on it again. And I just had I enjoyed it so much. Saw it twice. I made my grandma take me back again to see it. And she must have been wondering, okay, so he's begging me to take him to a Barbra Streisand movie. I wonder if he's gonna like girls. But she did. There was no problem. She was a big box office star, and the movie was fun. And I think there was another movie after that he did with her, and then he did Paper Moon, if I remember. That was also Bogdanovich. Well, then another movie I haven't seen in 50-something years. I'll bet it still holds up in a lot of ways. And then, of course, his career kind of, I wouldn't say it tanked, but he had some flops after that. Probably some films that are worth revisiting and looking over again. And then he became this actor, and he was really good at playing these smarmy, kind of rich, ascot-y type males. He did a role, memorable one in Law and Order, I believe, or one of the crime shows, and he would pop up in documentaries and pop up in other films, essentially playing a version of himself, but doing it really, really well. So it's a sad that we lost Peter Bogdanovich, and we also lost Sidney Poitier, just about 2 days ago. That made front page news, which I'm happy about. He was 94, and he had already been in the news because I'm kind of thrilled about this, that only 2 months ago, they announced plans to have a play about his life done on Broadway. Hasn't been written, they're working on it. They've got the actor, the playwright, the director. They're getting it together as we speak. But it was nice at least that he lived to know that, hey, by the way, can we have your permission? We'd like to tell, not a hagiographic biography. We'll talk about your marriage, that stuff too. But oh my God, being a black leading man actor in Hollywood in the 50s, 60s, 70s, right? Getting Lilies of the Field, getting In the Heat of the Night, and To Sir with Love. I mean, is playing the paragon of a black man in America, not now, not post Will Smith, not post Eddie Murphy, but being there before all of them. And yes, you're lucky you got your shot, and yes, you're lucky you were born very handsome and able to speak in a very beautiful way. That's your luck from fate or God or whatever. But there were others before you and others after you, but you made it happen, right? And, you can't, when you think of Sidney Poitier on film, there is a certain radiance to it. There's this feeling that you think, and whatever role it was, you just see him, clean cut, and all that sort of thing, and just representing, in some ways, the best person that a person could possibly be. And that's an incredible legacy that he leaves behind. Whatever color he was, but especially since he was black. This idea that when you think of Sidney Poitier, you think of just these indelible characters that were all him, versions of him. And even with their flaws, they were people that you looked up to and wanted to be, right? And felt for and understood. That's pretty fantastic. So farewell to these three people, Peter Bogdanovich, Sidney Poitier, and Betty White from the Daverhood, where me, Dave, does this program every Saturday from 9 until noon or thereabouts. It's a little after 10 o'clock Eastern time here already. Just a couple of minutes. We'll be quizzing. We'll be playing the game. But first, I do want to tell you that if you want, as I mentioned, to catch up on earlier... Oh, wait, sorry, hold on. Catch up? Did someone mention catch up? No, potato. I said if someone wants to catch up with earlier programs of the 831 of these that we've done before. No catch up? No, I'm saying if people want to see the archives, hear and see our older shows, no catch up, potato. I'm sorry, I got the COVID fog. Well, it comes to all of us, potato. Anyway, davesgoneby.com is the way to do that. Dave's Gone By, just like the name of the show, .com, and we have all our archives there. They are free. Last 4 years are video, right? You can stream it, or if you don't have to download it to your computer. If you go, oh, there's bugs, I don't want Facebook bugs coming on my thing and the government watching me, it's fine. You can download it, or you can click a button and just stream it on your computer and watch it like that, just the way you would watch a Netflix or a Hulu show. davesgoneby.com. We also have a separate archive for all the wonderful guests that we've had on this program. So if you don't want to wade through hour, 2, 3, 4 hour episodes of the show, and you just want to, oh my God, they had this guest on the program? Wow, I want to watch it. And you can just go right to the separate archive on that, davesgoneby.com. Plus, we put all our stuff on the archive.org website. It's a website called archive.org. And basically, it's a nonprofit that gathers together all entertainment and arts from the past 12,000 years. If it's public domain, it just puts it, right on, boom, boom, boom. Where can you watch old radio shows? Where can you watch Kinescope TV shows that you didn't think were even saved? Where can you read books that are in the public? I mean, all this stuff. They're just gathering. And so we have a channel there, the Dave's Gone By channel, and you can watch Dave's Gone By there just as easily as you can on davesgoneby.com. We also put our stuff on our YouTube channel, Dave's Gone By. As a matter of fact, we should be streaming at the moment on YouTube. But the best place to watch the live show is here on Facebook, because YouTube only gets this. And once we start Zooming with our guests, you'll still only see me and not them, although you'll hear everything. But we are streaming on YouTube as well as Facebook right now. And our archives for the past couple of years, excuse me, are on Facebook. I've depleted my Barszczyk. Let me some water. So, you can find them on our YouTube channel and Castbox.fm for our audio archives. Castbox.fm. So if you are, you're very active, you're running around, you don't want to watch the show, but you want to listen to it wherever you're going, plug it in, go to Castbox.fm, and there you have a podcast of the audio of this program. All our archives are there, audio only, at Castbox.fm. And one last reminder, if you're on Long Island in Nassau County, and you have Altice Cable TV, Tuesday nights at 9:30 for 1 hour, you get a random excerpt of Dave's Gone By on Channel 20. So check it out, Channel 20, Dave's Gone By, every Tuesday night Eastern Time, right on. If you're in Nassau County, you get that particular cable channel array. I did find that word, and it was the right word. Now, it is the right time. It's a bit after 10 o'clock, just the right time to let in our first guest in the Daverhood, coming back for the new year. And she was one of our last guests in the show we did on New Year's Eve. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back 1 week later to the Daverhood, Vicki Quade. Hey, Vicki, how are you? Unmute and say hello to us while I go blow my nose. Hold on, this is very important. There we go. Oh, wasn't it?
Hello.
Hello, Vicki. How are you?
I'm good.
How is your week post New Year's?
Oh, it's okay. It's all about getting back into the winter here in Chicago, which is bitter cold. This is actually a friend of mine lives out in the country, and this is a picture that he sent me.
Oh, that's beautiful. That looks like
it's gorgeous, isn't it?
I thought it was a desert out there in Saudi Arabia or something.
No, it's a good old Midwest freezing prairie.
Where is that? Is that not like Naperville, but that would be
further out from Naperville. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't developed that land yet, but I guess because of the weather, nobody wants to live there.
Well, it's farmland.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how has the show been? Now you're doing at the Greenhouse Theater in Chicago, late night catechism as well as Bible bingo.
Right, exactly. They reopen this weekend, and the numbers are small, but oddly, I was at dinner last night, and somebody got my cell phone from somewhere, called, and wanted to buy tickets for this weekend. So I said, "Oh, okay, hold on. Here's the link."
Yeah, well,
I'm
have your cell phone, but not just like a ticket link.
That's exactly right. Somehow they had my cell phone, and I don't know how. I didn't know these people, so I just said, "Here, you can buy online." So,
is it lucky they didn't show up at your house? It's like V Quade white pages. Oh, you know what? We'll just go in. We'll get the tickets from her at the door. Door.
I'll tell you, this is a true story. So when I was at the Royal George Theater, when the George was open, the box office there used to give people my home number, and I finally said, "Please stop doing that." Yeah. So the phone would ring, and one time it was a woman from Seattle, and she said, "I'm in Chicago on a trip, and I want to come and see Late Night Catechism at the Royal George. I'm so happy that you are doing that show, because it's it started in Seattle." Right. And I said, "No, it started in Chicago." And she said, no, it's been running for years in Seattle. It's a Seattle show. And I said, "No, I kind of know that it started in Chicago because I wrote it." And I could not convince her. And finally I said, "Oh, all right. Well, I'll check into
that." And she never got the vaccines because it's it interferes with the tinfoil on her head.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's David.
There's David Sheward. Oh my goodness! Thank God. Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, David Sheward. Okay, now David Sheward is the former managing editor of Backstage, former head of the drama desk, also current theater critic for culturaldaily.com, theaterlife.com, as well as he has a blog called The David Desk. David, you look great, I say that knowing what happened to you. Was it the day before Christmas?
No, it was December 22nd.
Oh, okay. So you were out on Christmas Day, which was kind of neat. Or Christmas Eve, they got you out of the hospital, right?
Yes.
So, what if you were hit? But just tell us this, because we haven't heard the story on the air.
Oh, well, I don't want to go into too much detail, but, I was crossing the street. I was with the light. I was hit by a car who was making a left turn, and wound up in the hospital. I've still got pain. I've got 6 broken ribs, and I still got pain and difficulty moving. I've got some ice on my shoulder, on my side.
Yeah. Now,
so I'm still recovering.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so you didn't go to school last week, I assume.
No.
Remote, or you just were able to take the days.
I'm on disability. I'm taking days off.
Damn right. I mean, so what do the doctors say in terms of when the pain will go away, when you'll have quote unquote normal? What? They don't know.
Well, everybody's different.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's different, and we'll just have to, see what happens. I still got pain and difficulty moving. So that's I don't want to say too much about it, but that's what's going on.
But you're talking and breathing.
Yes.
Normally, that's what. Well, that's a hell of a thing.
Talking and breathing, yes.
Well, no, I would imagine if I broke ribs, the first thing that would hurt like crazy is when I'm trying to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I still
my breathing is not as deep as it should be, but I have a breath, one of those aspirator things that I practice on.
Right.
It looks like you have a haircut too. Like you've really,
Well, that was before.
Well, it stayed. How'd you get this is like already 2-3 weeks ago. How's your hair stayed like so pristine?
Well, I just took a shower,
Oh, that would okay. I guess that would help. So you can shower, which is
yes.
Nice, but
Yeah.
I mean,
with difficulty, but yes.
Man, oh man. What do you?
So
Well,
what's
yeah.
the prognosis? I mean, how long does it take for? I don't know. I've never broken a rib.
It really varies. I don't know.
I'm so sorry.
I am going to physical therapy.
Right.
And they say, everybody's different, and we'll just have to see.
And you didn't have to have any surgery done. It was just
No.
it was just looking in there and saying, oh, okay, these things have to fuse together at some point. And
Yes, I did. I did get an X-ray and a CAT scan in the hospital, and
what a year!
yes.
What a way to end the year. Hopefully this year you'll heal. You'll be dancing soon.
Yes.
So
It's really terrible. It's really terrible. But I was lying there in the street, the first thing I thought was, well, I'm glad I got in all the Broadway shows before this happened.
At least I saw Patty and Company before.
Yes. At least I didn't miss anything.
Carolina Change, I saw it, Flying Over Sunset, I down with it,
Yeah.
and so forth. And honestly, you're not, January, February is nothing going to be, normally nothing opens anyway, but
Right.
certainly nothing now.
Well, yes, Skeleton Crew was going to open, but they keep pushing it back and delaying it. That was going to be the first show, but they kept pushing it, and now we don't know when that show is going to open.
Everything will be spring, like April. I'm telling you.
Well, I think that we don't know. I mean, the Omicron variant surge may peak in like a few weeks.
A few weeks, not yet.
Well, I don't know. I mean, or they think the middle of January. We're almost at we're like just the first week of January. And then once that dies down and the number of cases go down, we may go back to where we were beforehand.
Right.
We'll see.
Cases are down already. I mean, hospitals are reporting fewer hospitalizations.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And you and your husband have not, right? You that's the one thing you guys have avoided so far.
Right? Yes, that's true. While I was in the hospital, I did get a test, and it was negative.
And were there special precautions when all the nurses were running around too, and everybody?
Well, everybody was wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And there were no visitors. I could not have any visitors.
Wow.
So that's why I was worried. Is this going to be a Hallmark movie where I spend Christmas alone in the hospital watching Let's Make a Deal? But
hey, there are worse ways. And you would have been watching the Dave's Gone By New Year's special.
Oh, yes.
Let's Make a Deal. Even if you couldn't be on it, hello.
Yeah.
We do comedy here. But it's good. It's great to see you, David. And welcome back to the Daverhood. And we hope,
thank you.
You just, and it is great that you don't feel like, oh my God, there's a show that's opening February 14th. And even if I'm not quite ready to see it, well, just wait.
It's just one day at a time, one day at a time.
Or you can watch that show.
Yeah.
And the remake.
The Hispanic iteration of it, yes.
The original and the remake.
Yes.
So
I have caught up with Doctor Who.
Who?
Doctor Who.
Who?
British science fiction series.
Please.
I know. Didn't they do that for like 25 years or something, or is it still going on?
It's been on for 50 years.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's been on for a long time.
Yeah.
It used to have $1.98 production value. I mean, it was set. You'd watch it, and you'd be like, "Oh, really?
It's been on
People like this?"
Yeah, it's been on for a long time.
And who's the guy who had the long scarf?
Oh, Tom Baker.
I've never watched Doctor Who. I'm not a sci-fi person, but I remember just flipping dials for 1 minute, and I was very, very tempted because this woman was being accosted by like a monster, weird alien creature, and she just looked at it and she went, "You disgusting lump of filth." That's a great line. That's just wonderful because it looked like a disgusting lump of filth. I was like, okay, I'm like that. But anyway, welcome back, guys. I'm gonna. Well, I've given the rule. You know the rules of the Today Yesterday quiz.
Is it just to be us? Are we not? Are we waiting for Leslie?
Oh, of course we're waiting for. What do you think?
Oh,
What do you think?
Joining us?
She's supposed to be joining us.
Okay.
I've texted her.
Texting her, call her, Leslie.
You know what? She's probably with her computer going, log on. And in deference to her, she was on our New Year's show, and didn't get her on when she was supposed to. And then she was like in our waiting room for like half an hour before I had finally time to. Oh, let me bring Leslie in, and then we couldn't find her. And they said, "Oh my God, you let me in, and my battery's almost dead." So I do sort of owe her that apology, and hopefully I'll be able to give it to her in person in a few minutes. But until then, we can begin the game of sorts called Today Yesterday. It's a trivia quiz with each question worth, let's say it's worth 2 points. We'll make believe we're playing for 3. However this works out. And so if the contestant gets the question right, they get 2 points. If they get it wrong, no points. But the other contestant, not apostrophe, I think, what are these things? They're parentheses. S. Brain pop. The other gets a chance to steal and take those 2 points.
That's right.
So it's roll a die time. If I can just find that little web thing. So, Vicki, could you kindly pick a number between 1 and 6 and tell me what it is?
Oh, 4.
Vicki with a 4. Excuse me. David Sheward.
She picked 4.
She did.
I'll pick 3.
David Sheward with a 3. We're gonna roll a die.
Oh no, poor Leslie.
I know. I can actually figure this one out. I don't have to do the wheel yet of what's next to whatever. But let's see, David Sheward, you asked for 3. I just rolled a 2.
Oh, okay.
So you get to decide, do you want to go first or second or third?
Well, I'll pick, I'll pick first.
Oh, okay, great. So Vicki,
I'll do second.
Sorry?
I'll do second.
No matter what. You want? Okay.
Yeah, I'll do second. That's fine. And then we'll give third to Leslie.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, here we go. We're going to start the game. We'll do 2 questions, and then we'll see how it goes. So, David Sheward?
Yes.
First question goes.
Okay.
The year was 871. At the Battle of Ashdown, the Danish army was defeated by the Saxons, led by Alfred the Great, and his older brother Ethelred I. Speaking of Ethels, according to CountryLiving.com, which of these is not true about actress Vivian Vance, who played Ethel Mertz on Island Lucy? You see where this is going. You know how this quiz goes now.
Okay.
A, which is false about Vivian Vance.
Which is false about Vivian Vance. Okay.
You can see her Emmy Award on display at the Albuquerque Little Theater in New Mexico. B, she hated co-star William Frawley so much that when he died, she said, "Champagne for everyone." C, she wrote her autobiography, but it's never been published. Or D, she sued her third husband to block his publishing a tell-all memoir about their short marriage.
I think, okay, I almost read a biography of Vivian Vance, but I didn't get around to it. But I think she never won an Emmy. I think she was nominated, but I don't think she ever won. So I think it's A.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I'm afraid the award does not go to you, David Sheward. That is not the correct answer.
Oh.
So we have a steal opportunity for Vicki Quade.
All right. So it is that she wrote an autobiography but never had it published, tried to block her third husband, And what was the last? What was the other one?
And also she hated co-star.
Oh, she hated. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. That's been widely reported. Whether she said champagne for everyone.
Ah.
Yeah. So can you read that again?
Sure. The choices are, one of these is false. She hated co-star William Frawley so much that when he died, she said champagne for everyone. C, she wrote her autobiography, but it's never been published. Or D, she sued her third husband to block his publishing a tell-all memoir about their short marriage.
Ooh, could be any of those. I think she probably did say champagne for everyone. So I'm going to say she tried to block her third husband.
You're saying that is false.
Oh, it's false. That's right.
False.
Oh, wait a minute. It's false, not true. All right. Well, I said it. Yeah, I'll go with that. Why not?
So you're going
Could be any of those.
That's what I try and do every week, but you're going with which? The lawsuit?
That she tried to block her third husband. She probably tried to block her fourth husband.
Actually, there we go. Well, sue me. That's what you do me. Vicki Quade, you get 2 points on the board.
Really? I got that right.
I did get that right. That was not at all true. As a matter of fact, her surviving fourth husband found her unpublished autobiography in a drawer back in 1986, 7 years after she died. So it hasn't been published yet, although excerpts have appeared in like the Inquirer and places. So she did write essentially an autobiography that was never been published. That was true. It's also true she hated Frawley. She was in a restaurant. They gave her news and said, champagne for everyone. She hated him. And her Emmy Award, supporting, what was it? It was a supporting actress. She gifted that to the Albuquerque Little Theater in New Mexico, which opened in 1930, and Vivian Banks was in its very first production.
Oh, nice.
Which show it was, but it says she was. That's why she inaugurated.
Oh, I guess I was wrong. I guess it's William Frawley who never won.
Oh, maybe. So.
And which letter was that?
That was letter D was the correct answer. That was
okay. Letter D. Okay.
If you're taking notes, so not hearing from Vicki Quade yet, but we can do one.
No, I'm here. I'm not hearing from Leslie.
I mean, I'm sorry. I
can change the name if you want.
But you've emailed her, you've texted her and everything?
I texted her. I said, it's time.
Well,
the same text. You're on the same feed. So
yeah,
she's probably just like unable to, whatever. Because usually she sends me a text saying, I'm trying. Am I in? You know, which is what she said. Anyway,
okay.
Let us go to Vicki for question number 2. Okay. Right. Here we go. Now you can build on your 2-point lead here in the Today Yesterday quiz. The year was 1705. All right. Premiering tonight in Vienna. Oh,
well, she's coming in.
Fingers crossed.
Well, you said, oh, ho, ho, you know.
No, it's had nothing to do with the question. It's
you sounded kind of excited there.
Which Santa Claus? No. Did she come in?
That's what I'm saying.
She's there. We can see the number 4. Come on, Leslie.
Oh, Leslie, you can do it.
You can do it.
Oh, Leslie. Just do it on your telephone. We keep telling you. Well, we'll see.
Somebody needs to
she's coming in. Excellent.
Hello.
Good you are.
Hello.
It seems I don't have Zoom for the new year. I have no idea. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Morning.
So sorry.
No problem.
So sorry.
Leslie, look at David Sheward. Doesn't he look amazing?
I can't see him. I can't. I'm on my phone. I can only get one of you at a time. David, say something and you'll come up.
Hello.
Oh, you look wonderful.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I'm still in some pain, and I'm still having difficulty moving. I'm in bed right now with some ice on my side.
Oh, poor baby.
You know,
I had 2 broken ribs. You've got 6, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I can empathize. 1/3 of the way or 2/3.
How long did it take you to heal?
Oh, 6, 7 weeks. It was terrible. They are just as bad as the foot. I'm so sorry to tell you that. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news.
Huh.
They're just very difficult and so painful. Childbirth was not as painful.
Oh,
I can
well,
vouch
that's
for
good
that.
to know if I ever decide to have a baby.
Wait a minute.
Yes, if you
No,
ever
wait,
decide.
Leslie, when did you? I remember when you broke your arm falling over a theater seat, but when?
No. You see how those things get? A guy fell on me in the theater seat. I did not fall over a theater
Oh,
seat.
what was the show?
Heavy set guy. What was the show? The one about Everlasting, Tuck Everlasting.
Oh, what a horrible show to remember that
I
by.
had to come back. I had to come back for the second act because I had a kid with me.
No.
So I
That
had to
was a-
sit there. Luckily, I got ice during the intermission. I could sit
Oh.
there with ice on it, but
That was a bad show.
it was, and I still have a lump here.
And
Oh,
this,
lump everlasting. But wait,
Yeah.
that was, he broke.
Some feckless idiot from Westchester came. Pardon me, if anybody's from Westchester. Just he had to get to the bathroom, and as he ran by, and I'm screaming in pain, he goes, "I gotta pee! I gotta pee!"
That's life.
And
That,
then, and then he came
that
back.
is so life. But Leslie,
you-
he broke your arm. When did you break your ribs, or was that the rib?
No! I tripped over a blind man's cane.
and what show was that at?
That was on 23rd Street and
Miracle
6th
World.
Avenue, waiting for a bus. I was running, and I saw it peripherally, and I was running for a bus, and I had an armload of books, and I fell on the books.
Well,
And the books is what did it. I know. It's
see,
not. Listen,
I'm the one that's in pain, and it's turned into the Leslie Payne show.
no, I'm sorry, but let me ask you something. Are you able to sue? Do you have any rights? in
I
that?
don't want to. I don't want to discuss. Maybe not. I don't want to discuss.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
don't bring that up.
I want to say too much.
I'm glad you
Okay.
had a hell of a year also. I mean, you came through. I mean, the ribs thing
No,
was
it's the Dave. Let it be the David show. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to hijack David's pain. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was not my intention.
But no, yeah.
That was not my intention, David.
No,
I'm
That's all right.
fine.
Let's
We-
go
we're just-
to
We're all friends, Leslie, for God's
yes.
sake.
Let's go to the next to Vicky's question.
And welcome,
Right.
Leslie.
Oh,
Great
we
to
should
see you.
tell. Oh, now you're sideways, Leslie. I think you have to go back.
There you
Yeah,
go. There,
Okay,
yes,
oh, there we
that's
go. Oh, right, no, there.
No, no.
the other side.
the other way. Oh, there. No, you're good. You're good.
No, that's.
Leave it
I
right
see
there.
Vicky. Hi, Vicky.
Hello,
I'm
darling.
sorry I missed you at New Year's. I could not get on for shit. I don't know what was going on that night.
It was fun. That was a fun night.
Yeah, well, she did
I
get on
must-
for 30 minutes. She was there. She did make it, which is great. And now she's made it to our today, yesterday quiz. So welcome, Leslie Blake. You are in third. By the way, you're third in terms of answering questions.
Absolutely.
Just
But
so
now,
you-
doesn't Leslie have to pick a number?
yeah. What? Can you pick a number, please, between 1 and 6?
Are 6 and 2 still available?
Either one. Yes.
Oh, let me take 2 today. It's a new year.
Ooh, Leslie taking a number 2, which she should have done before we went on the air. But there you go. Anyway, Vicky, we were asking you a question.
Yes, it's something to do with ho something.
No, that was just me being excited
Oh.
that Leslie was logging on. No, the year was
Okay.
1705. Premiering tonight in Vienna, the first opera by George Friedrich Handel, Almira or Almira. I'm not sure. In honor of that event, which of these is not true about Elmira, New York?
Oh.
A. Designer Tommy Hilfiger was born there.
Oh,
B. Film director Hal Roach was born there.
wow.
C. Commodore Matthew Perry is buried there. D. Mark Twain is buried there.
Oh my goodness.
One of
I
these,
should-
only one.
I
is
should
untrue.
know some of, only one of them is true.
No,
is that-
sorry. One of them is untrue. Only
Oh.
one.
So one is false. Oh my goodness. That could be, oh my goodness. I'm sorry, would you read them one more time?
Of course. Which of these is not true about Elmira? Designer Tommy Hilfiger was born there. Film director Hal Roach was born there. Commodore Matthew Perry is buried there. Mark Twain is buried there.
I'm gonna say Mark Twain is not buried there. I don't know that that's true. I'm thoroughly just guessing.
But that is your final answer.
Sure.
Sugar, 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 sugar. Oh, woo, woo, it's the Twain. But it's going to nowhere, I'm afraid. That is not the correct answer. He is, in fact, buried there. So we're going to roll the die. And Where's that roll a die thing? Here it is. Online die. Let's see who comes up and can steal this question. So we get a number 1. Speaking of people who have to pee, Leslie Hoban Blake, you tune in at just the right time. You can steal this question.
Tommy Hilfiger or who were born there?
Hilfiger born there. Hal Roach born there.
Hal Roach.
Commodore Matthew Perry buried there.
I'm going to say Commodore Perry is not buried there.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's as much a guess as Vicky's was.
Leslie Blake, please hello. That is the correct answer.
Oh,
Commodore Perry is actually, he died in Manhattan and was
that your culturally inappropriate Japanese, because Perry opened up the
well, not only that, David, you know where
Pacific
that's from.
Overtures?
Pacific Overtures, yeah.
Of course.
Okay,
So,
thank you. All right, I'm just wondering what that was.
yeah, the start they say Pries Hero. And when Mako did it, he pronounced it like that. So
I don't remember. And it wasn't he didn't sing it. It was another.
Oh, was that?
Well, no, he didn't sing that particular line. He did have some lines in it, but it was the other guy who played the ambassador, the prime minister.
I was going to say, because the Japanese spoke very well in that, did they not? They were speaking Japanese ostensibly.
But that's the thing, they all look alike to me. So of course anywho.
It goes from bad to verse with him.
Words, I get it. Oh, what do you do if an epileptic has a seizure in your bathtub?
Turn on the water? What?
No, throw in your laundry.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh,
whoa.
oh.
Okay.
There's no soap with me. Oh my God. Wow.
No soap radio.
Anywho.
I got it from David Sedaris. I'm reading.
Oh, sure you did. Oh.
Really?
Yeah, it's in a David Sedaris book.
Oh my goodness.
What was the context of him telling that joke?
It's his diary. He published these diaries from called a snackery, what was it? A feast of snackery or a carnival of snackery or something. And it's just random whatever from his 10 years of his life.
Well, no, because there was an epileptic guy at the local Burger King, and he went in for a shake. But you know.
Oh.
Okay. Anywho, Leslie Hoban Blake on the board with 2 points. And FYI, Mark Twain, yes, is buried in Elmira.
Really?
Hal Roach was born there, and Hal Roach, when he was a kid, saw a talk there by Mark Twain.
Oh.
I was so impressed by him and his comedy that it made him wanting to get into entertainment. And so
It made him want to hit girls in the, well, never mind.
In the face with a pie?
Yeah, right.
yeah. Well, at least he
Actually, it wasn't Hal Roach.
I don't know what that means. Okay, anyway.
Wasn't Hal Roach the kids thing? Wasn't he the
Our game.
Rascals?
I think he did that too. He did that too.
But also Laurel and Hardy and the Keystone Cops.
Yeah.
That was accent.
And did he produce Fatty Arbuckle? Was that Hal Roach?
Probably sang it.
Or
Mac and Mabel.
Or
Mac Sennett.
Or the father in Ragtime.
What was the guy's
Tata.
name? What is his name? That character?
Tata or something.
Tata.
Yeah.
Which
Anyway.
just means father.
Yeah.
Before we say ta-ta to this round of the Today Yesterday quiz, Leslie can build on her tie. Well, can untie our tie. She's got 2 points with Vicki Quade. So Leslie, this question goes directly to you. Are you ready?
Yep.
The year was 1790. 9 months in office, George Washington delivers his first, and America's first, State of the Union address. He spends much of it noting the importance of building an armed military. He also touches on 3 other topics, all of these except which one? Okay.
Interesting.
A, he calls for a quick standard way for foreigners to become American citizens. B, he calls for a society of doctors to standardize the use of medicines and treatments. C, he calls for instituting uniform weights and measures. D, he calls for promoting knowledge through a national university.
Only one of those is true.
Only one of these is not.
Is false.
It's false.
He called for all of them except for one.
Okay, I believe weights and measures is true, but the last one was what?
The last one was he calls for promoting knowledge through a national.
Oh, National University. Okay. Foreigners and
Doctors to standardize the use of
doctors,
medicines.
foreigners, doctors. I would say, well, the obvious one is that he didn't look for foreigners to become citizens. That was not high on his list, and they were not particularly open to foreigners at that point either. It's an American heritage to not be open to foreigners.
Especially the Japanese, because they're switching their R's and L's. Yeah. Or as they call themselves,
Ignore it.
Foreigners.
I'm doing my damnedest, Vicki.
Just ignore it. Yeah,
If we say anything, it only encourages him. I know.
that's it. Yeah.
That one stands out because it's so obvious, but the others all seem to be true. So I'm going to go with the foreigners.
So you're saying it is false that in his first State of the Union address, he called for a quick standard way for foreigners to become American citizens.
Yeah, I would assume that that is not true.
Well, Leslie Hoban Blake, I'm afraid we have to send your answer back to where it came from. It was true. He wanted. He was very, very open, actually, to learning and cultural stuff from other countries. So that is not correct.
That's good. It's good to know.
Yeah, but we want to know the
You're right.
And it comes up a Vicki number 4.
Oh, good.
Vicki, please, yes.
So it is standardizing weights and measures, basically standardizing doctors and education for all.
I don't think that was education for all. Forgive me for saying that.
Well, it calls for promoting knowledge through a national university.
Yeah.
National university. Thank you. Promoting knowledge through a national university. I'm going to say that one. That he did not support a national university.
Is that your final answer?
Total guess, yes.
Oh, I'm afraid you have to wear the dunce cap, Vicki Quade. That is not the correct answer because that was true. He did call for one for people to become better citizens and learn stuff. So, David, sure, you're at 50-50 here. You can tie up the game completely.
So it's either doctors or weights and measures.
Correct.
I think the weights and measures thing, well, maybe they already did that with Benjamin Franklin and the post office. Now don't overthink it, like they did on the Amazing Race this week.
Wow, you have been watching live television. Okay.
Yeah. It was the first episode of the new season 33.
You know what is an Amazing Race? The Japanese. But
what?
You know what is
Ignore
Amazing Race? The Japanese. Yeah.
Don't even say what.
I'll say the doctors is not true.
Have you been watching the doctors as well? Is that why you're saying that, or no?
No, and I don't think he should be the senator from Pennsylvania.
Oh, that guy.
Dr. Oz.
I've never met a doctor. I've never met a doctor. I forget. I can't. There was a joke in there somewhere, but I couldn't do it.
Okay.
So your answer is the doctor.
The doctors. I'm going to say the doctors is false.
David, your answer is in perfect health. That is the correct answer.
Well
done, David Sheward. He did not call for, the AMA didn't happen until 1847. So, and one of the other things he did in his speech is he started the speech by welcoming North Carolina to the Union. Who knew that was that early, like 1790?
Really?
North Carolina was going in. Yeah.
I thought they were part of the original 13.
I thought so too.
Yeah, nope.
Or, how many had to ratify the Constitution? Or how did that work?
Oh, I know. You're the history teacher. So
well, I know Delaware was the first and Pennsylvania was the second, but I don't know what the order was after that. And Vermont joined later, and Maine didn't come in until Maine was part of Massachusetts. But anyway,
you're already so far beyond my knowledge of these things and the order of things. Oh, hold on. Just saying. One moment. Oh, Joyce just needs. Oh, I see it. Why not? Well, here's a couple of them. Anywho, say hi to Joyce.
Hello,
Hi,
Joyce.
Hello.
She's staying very
Happy
far
New
away
Year,
from me
Joyce.
because I'm semi-quarantining someone I work with. His wife and then him got it. So I don't know if I have it. I probably don't. But
Oh dear.
and we're
Can you even find a kit? I mean, I've looked here in Chicago.
Did you take a test?
I will on Monday morning. My school district does them in like the back room of the school. So if I can wait, if I don't have any symptoms, I'll go on Monday morning and get tested to make sure. But my coworker, he'll be out for 10 days. That's gonna be fun. Anywho.
Yeah, I found some online and ordered them online.
Oh, I know you can order them, but sometimes they're taking.
I know.
I just don't want to freaking, I just want to go to CVS and could you please put something up my nose? And
My sister's been sick since Christmas. She's getting a little better now. Not deathly ill, but just like, a bad flu, which is bad enough.
Yeah. I mean, as we're literally calling this episode Just a Matter of Time. Because it's just a matter of time before
we all get it.
Person gets it. I mean, it's just how bad it's going to be when you do.
Everybody in Florida, maybe.
No, you know what? No, I'm sorry, David. Florida and Texas. New York has worse curve right now than either of those places.
David, my sister douses herself in Lysol literally when she comes home.
Wow.
She's a former nurse. She takes off her clothes and washes her groceries at the door. All of that, and she still managed it. So it's not Florida, it's anywhere,
Well,
she's triple boosted. I mean, she's triple vaccinated.
And but the thing is, Leslie, is she's spraying her food with Lysol because that would do it.
That would do it. And we were together on Christmas. So we were together. I'm fine.
Toy.
Yeah, I know.
No, I was
telling
you.
I was guilty.
Mentioning this before you guys got on the air when Rabbi Saul did his last rabbinical reflection before the year, and part of it was a little poem about all the people who passed in 2021. All these Sondheim and all these folks, and his last line was crappy, as horrible as a year as it's been. Maybe the next year will be all right because hey, we've still got Betty White. 3 days later.
No.
3 days later.
Rabbi Saul did it. That's who did it.
Yeah.
Ask Rabbi Saul not to talk about us.
Yeah, please. Poor Peter Bogdanovich to be sandwiched between Betty White and Sidney Poitier. That was his legacy.
Yeah.
He managed to do it wrong every single time.
Well,
because he was such a major director. I mean, he would really. I mean,
he was, but he was also a major fuck up, and he ruined his own career.
Just doing a couple of bad movies. Oh, David, you were going to say. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no, just that I don't know if I completely agree with Leslie about that. I think it's interesting that he had made one of the best pictures of the 70s, the Last Picture Show, and then several of the worst of the following decades.
All right. Well, but he also did Paper Moon. Right?
Yes.
And maybe some of his lesser known are worth. I didn't see Texasville. I don't know if anybody did. Yeah. But, maybe okay.
My dad, the Last Picture Show, I think was the first. They used to have M ratings, remember, for mature audiences. And my dad had to take. I was 12 years old when I saw. My dad had to take me to see it.
Well, because Sybil Shepherd showed her tits, so it's like, oh, hello.
Yeah, and I remember the theater manager was like, are you aware, sir, this is for mature audiences? And I was 12, and my dad said, yes, I know, I'm aware of it. And I really appreciated him taking me to see it.
Did it hit you? I was young to see. It didn't hit. That film meant nothing to me when I was like a little, but I saw it in my 20s, and I was like, holy crap. Did it?
There was nudity, but I understood, what was going on.
The feeling of the film, like the power of.
Amazing performances, and
Were you able to get most of that at 12, David?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
And I
got more.
I did a radio interview, a telephone interview with Bogdanovich when he did Cat's Meow. And he was insufferable. He I interviewed all kinds of people. He's the only one who ever insisted that he be shown the copy before it was printed.
Oh.
And I went to my editor. I said, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, if it's the only way we get the interview, we'll have to show him the copy. And he started correcting this, move this, blah, blah. And I was floored. I mean, he was insufferable. And he wasn't anyone in 2004, you know, in terms of, it was a comeback movie and it did okay. And I was in awe of the man, absolutely in awe of him. And
That's a shame. I mean, I'm sorry to I was going to say that I went with I was saying this before you guys got on, that my grandma took me twice to see What's Up, Doc, when that was in the theaters. And maybe it's a crappy movie now, but I enjoyed it.
No, it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was 12 years old, my mother took me to see a double bill. My mother loved movies, and the double bill was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and Elfie.
Ooh,
oh my God!
So I go to my Catholic school like on Monday, and they say, "What'd you do this weekend?" And I said, "Oh, I went to see 2 movies." And they called my mother. You took your daughter to see those films?
Did they threaten to take you away from her?
No, but they, you know, my mother, they complained a lot about me. Like they said I was playing with my hair. My mother said, "Leave her alone," you know. And my mother said, "If you don't like it, you know, lump it." So she was actually pretty strict.
Moral sin or a venial sin to play with your hair, which is that.
Exactly. And to go see those movies.
Well, I remember when I was in grade school, you know, I would take like a steak knife and just keep stabbing the kid in front of me, and teachers were like, you know, stop doing that. The guy's bleeding. And Mom said, "Let him. He's being creative." No.
Oh.
Leslie, you think I'm
What?
No, I'm just
Your mother was Mrs. Lovett, right?
Right.
That's right.
Anywho, you know what I love? Well, I love doing this show, Dave's Gone By. I love you guys, and I love that we have a tie. We have a
three-way tie.
Yeah.
David Sheward, Leslie Hoban, Blake, Vicki Quade tied in the today-yesterday quiz as we move into round 2 of our game.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
Now, oh boy, you get the, this is why we keep things random. Guess what it's time for you?
The name's the same or whatever that thing's
3
called.
clues in the news.
Ah, right.
How could you forget? We do this every week. How do you forget that it's called 3 clues in the
Well,
news?
I know what it is. I just couldn't remember the name. It's been like, when was the last time? We've done it like 3 weeks ago. Anyway, yes.
Well, welcome back. This will send you right back into the hospital. So here we go. Here's 3 words that are not connected to each other, but each of the words is connected to another word that has been in some way in recent news. Okay, and it can be like blank the word or word blank. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Lust.
Lust.
Simple.
Simple.
Bath.
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 B-A-T-H.
Yeah, like the place in England. Bath.
Or where if you're having epileptic in your bathtub, you're throwing your laundry.
Yes.
All right, let's see. This would have been a good time for that joke.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere before. I was okay, but yeah.
Because I just read it last night and I thought it was pretty funny. Okay.
Because a Spanish person would say epilepsy.
All right. So lust, simple.
Uh-oh.
Oh, blood. The word it's blood.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Oh, positive. You are correct. That is the right answer. What it just clicked in your brain and you got it?
Well, I suddenly remembered the movie Blood Simple, and that's what did it.
And then Bloodbath, of course.
Bloodbath and Bloodlust. Yes.
Well done, David. Did you guys also did it click for you too?
And what is the blood? What's the blood in the news?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to? Because this might be for an extra point for a bonus thing, but it was already earlier in the week. Elizabeth Holmes was convicted on 4 counts of fraud for her Theranos blood testing.
Oh, yeah, I knew that she did. I didn't know what it was that what her product was.
It was supposed to be really simple, easy, painless blood tests, and it was all for all the data was fraudulent, and they're putting her in prison for that. So, David Sheward, big shock. Even though you're sitting there with 6 broken ribs, you're in the lead. 4-2. But we have a bit more game to play, don't we, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
And we get Vicki Quade, who can now, if you get these 2 points, notice how I burped in the middle of saying that, who can get 2 points and tie David with this next question. You know what I need? I need,
Oh,
I need another delicious glass
ooh,
of Hortex Barszczyk of eternally fresh beet juice.
is that beet juice?
It really is. It's not soup. It's beets.
Well, the name Hortex, what a lovely name.
Let's see it. Oh, all right. Put some vodka in that.
Oh, or sour cream.
Or sour cream.
See, the first sip is like, oh, but then you like it. Hortex can't be beat. There you go. Okay.
Do any of you watch Graham Norton?
I love Graham
Not
Norton.
lately. Not lately. Why?
Did anybody watch it last night?
No.
What's up?
There's a drink in Greece
They
called
dip the drink in Greece.
Virgina, Virgina. Probably not pronounced that way,
No, probably not. No.
but someone did an ad for it. That's all. I'm not going to go any further than that. But
Does it taste like clams or what is it?
no, it was just the idea of
Yeah. Well, yeah.
you can make up your own ad for it.
Oh, I am indeed. What am I
Okay.
making? I made up a question for Vicki. So, Vicki,
All right, let's hear it.
for you. We move into the 1800s, in fact, 1815, on January 8th. In half an hour, U.S. troops defeated British Army troops in the Battle of New Orleans.
Mhm.
Which of these odd things was false about that battle?
Okay.
A. The British were mainly defeated by fog. When they attacked in the morning, they hadn't counted on being unable to see more than a few feet ahead of them. B. It took place after the War of 1812 was already over. Both sides just didn't know it yet. C. After the battle, General Andrew Jackson visited a convent to thank the nuns personally for praying for American victory. Or D. Helping the Americans win the battle was notable French pirate Jean Lafitte.
Boy, did he go to see a convent? Would they even let him in?
Well, that one was second to none. But
Oh,
or the fog,
I
Or
smell
the-
musical.
or the fog,
That's
or
sort of
the
a
fact that
combination of bloody Andrew Jackson and nonsense.
yeah, exactly, right. Okay,
Vicki knows what our next show is going to be now.
that's right. Wait, let me write that down.
Leslie, you're visually frozen, but we still hear you, so that's okay.
Oh, for me, am I visually frozen?
No, Leslie is.
Oh, Leslie. Okay,
Am I not? Oh.
yeah.
But we
I
still hear
am.
you.
Look at that. Wow.
You okay, David?
David's got his Iron Man blankie on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the phone was ringing, but somebody else got it.
Okay, so the second one. First of all, tell me again
Sure.
the year the year that this happened.
1815.
1815. So the War of 1812 was
The Battle
already
of New
over, but they
Orleans.
didn't know it.
On this day, a half-hour battle. Okay.
Right.
The British, which of these is not true?
Not
A,
true.
the British were mainly defeated by fog. When they attacked in the morning, they hadn't counted on being unable to see more than a few feet ahead of them. B, it took place after the War of 1812 was already over. Both sides just didn't know it yet. C, after the battle, General Andrew Jackson visited a convent to thank the nuns personally for praying for American victory. Or D, helping the Americans win the battle was notable French pirate Jean Lafitte. Or is it
I have no idea. I'm going to say the fog is not true. A total 1,000% guess.
But you're going to go with that one.
I'm going to go with that one.
Sorry, you're making me get misty over that answer. Vicki Quade, you got it. That is absolutely
It's
cool.
true.
What you just total complete guess?
No, I mean, I've been to New Orleans, truthfully, probably 20, 25 times. And I thought to myself, does it get that foggy? I've been there in the morning. Is it that foggy?
That
was
that's the deal. What really happened was the British were counting on mist to conceal their movements, to camouflage them, but the fog lifted and they were basically sitting ducks for the American soldiers. So it was
Good
sort of
for
the
them.
opposite of what they were counting on.
And those nuns did pray
They did, and they were thanked personally
Oh,
by
and
General Jackson.
and we do know that the battle took place after the war was over. They just didn't know about
18 days after the Treaty of Ghent. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so I guess they
Signed
didn't
by
bring the news from Ghent to Axe.
signed by John Quincy Adams.
Or was it? This I did not know.
He was one of the American ministers, peace ministers.
Oh, he should have gone to visit the nuns.
And there were all those 1950s movies with people like Paul Henry playing Lafitte that are
Right.
on TCM all the time. All those
Right.
early, Rhonda Fleming with bright red hair,
Right.
and Lafitte's Woman or something. It's
Oh,
at the battle.
that with Charlton Heston as Jackson. Oh,
Yes, that was a later one.
oh,
That was a later one. Yes.
But it's nice to know that the British went down to defeat because of Lafitte.
oh.
Ah, ha, ha.
Remember
Did you-
those Captain Crunch commercials where the pirate was John LaFoot and he was the barefoot pirate?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for reminding me. I forgot about that.
Ah, Captain Crunch, I want your cereal. I will steal it from you.
I want to cut
Oh.
the roof of my mouth.
Oh, yeah, get out of here.
He sounds like the cousin of the woman with baked beans.
Yeah, get out of here, LaFoot,
How come when David makes fun of French people, it's not racist, and when I make fun of the Japanese, it is? And meanwhile, the French
He's
were on
making
our
fun of
side.
He's making fun of cartoon characters.
Okay, all right. So I'm making fun of Dr. Seuss drawings from the 1940s.
Huh.
We'll just call it that.
Well, the
And-
French are not a race, but the Asians are. I don't know.
Slippery slope. Oh, you
Anyway.
fools. Anyway,
David said it. David said it.
we have a two-way tie between David Sheward and Vicki Quade, with Leslie only 2 points behind. But guess what, Leslie? This is your question. If you get this right, we will again have a three-way tie.
Come on, Leslie.
Well, I knew the last two answers, so obviously I'm not going to know this answer. That's the way that works. Go ahead.
Well, this is kind of in your wheelhouse, so we'll see. Here we
Oh,
go.
okay, good. Now really put the kibosh. Go ahead.
January 8th, 1935.
Ah.
Born today in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis Aaron Presley.
Uh-huh.
Which of these was not true about Elvis?
Oh, Jesus. All right, go ahead. That's my wheelhouse. All right.
Well, I thought you were rock and roll. You were that era.
Yeah, I would. Yes, of course.
Here we go. A, one of these is false, okay? A, before he managed Elvis, Colonel Tom Parker used to make money by painting sparrows yellow and selling them as canaries. B, Elvis almost had to cancel an appearance on Ed Sullivan because the polio vaccine he'd taken backstage to promote vaccination gave him an allergic reaction that nearly put him in a hospital. C, one of Elvis's hobbies was dressing up as a policeman and pulling young women over to give them an autograph. Or D, one of Elvis's many pets was a mynah bird, which would repeat the many reasons Elvis couldn't come to the phone.
Oh,
So I've forgotten the first one now. We've got the
Okay.
cop pulling him over, the mynah bird, the polio vaccine, and
And before he managed Elvis, Colonel Tom
oh,
Parker used to make money.
God, that is so hysterical. That has to be true, right? It has to be false. We're looking for false again.
We're looking for false. All of these are true, but one.
Thank you for the definition of false. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the insult, Leslie.
It's okay. I just didn't. I just can't get past the picture of Sanders painting those birds yellow. Oh, it can't be the answer, but it's going to have to be for me. The painting the birds yellow, as ridiculous as it is, only you could have made that up.
So is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's going to be wrong, but yes, go ahead.
That you're saying that's false, right?
I'm saying that's. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry.
We're going with false. It's
Wait,
false.
define false.
Do you need the divine
Thank you,
false
David.
again? Yeah.
Define false. Yes, define false for me again.
What is?
Okay, which one isn't true?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to go back to that. That's right. That's what I thought.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
It's
you're
too
saying
It's false.
crazy even for you to have thought up, David.
So it's false.
Thank you.
So it's
So that's
false.
her answer. That it is not true.
Only you could have thought it up. That's how I'm trying to say it.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
All right, let me. Oh, sorry. Hold on a sec. About this answer, I'm receiving a tweet. Okay, a little bird joke there. But anyway, Leslie, I'm kind of not sorry to tell you, but you're wrong. Colonel Parker, who was dealing with carnivals and stuff like that, and would make money however he could, would paint yellow
okay.
to sell canaries. That is actually
Okay.
a true
Makes
thing.
sense. Now that you put it that way, it makes sense.
Well, let's see if these other answers make sense. When I roll the die and it comes up, David's number 3.
Okay, David.
Okay. All right, so it's either Elvis had a bad reaction to a polio vaccine and couldn't go on the Ed Sullivan show,
Almost.
or posed as a policeman and pulled women over so he could give them an autograph, or he had a pet minor bird that would say Elvis can't come to the phone. That sounds crazy enough to be true. The policeman thing sounds crazy enough to be true. The polio, they all sound like they're crazy enough to be true. So which one's false? I'm going to say, well, we've had a D, a C, a B, and an A. And we've eliminated A, so they're not going to be 2 A's in a row. Okay, I'll say the polio vaccine is not true.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, yes.
Well, David Sheward, you took your shot, and here's my reaction. You were correct!
Ah!
Yeah, well done, David Sheward, tying the game all the way. Wait, no, not
No, he just moved ahead.
Just moved ahead.
Sorry. 6 points for David to 4 to Vicki to 2 to Leslie. But let me, Elvis, there's a very famous photograph of him getting a polio vaccine backstage before going on Ed Sullivan, to promote, to get kids who weren't doing it. And there's like, oh, I'm going. But he had no problem. He was fine. He just took the shot and went on
Interesting.
Sullivan. Yeah. So that is well done, David Sheward leading. My goodness. Even when you're handicapped, you usually give other people a
Exactly.
Well, we move into the third round of our Today Yesterday quiz. By the way, it's a little bit after 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time here on Dave's Gone By. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. You're watching our 832nd episode of the show. We're calling it Just a Matter of Time. And we're spending this time playing the Today Yesterday History Quiz with Vicki Quade, who is the co-creator of Late Night Catechism and the creator, I would say, of Bible Bingo, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Right, all the bingo shows, yeah.
So you're doing those live at the Greenhouse Theater on weekends in Chicago, and people can see them even now. We've got David Sheward, who is a theater critic for theaterlife.com, culturaldaily.com. Also, you blog for thedaviddesk.com. And then Leslie Hoban Blake on the YouTube channel and on the podcast series that is called Critics Circle with our mutual friend Charlie Gross. So we'll have you all promote what the most recent stuff is when we get to the end of the quiz. But now we go back to the quiz and our third round, which begins with David Sheward. You can make this a very, very tough game now.
Okay.
We get this right.
Okay.
The year 1966.
All right.
On this date, January 8th, hitting #1 on the album charts today and staying there for 6 weeks, the Beatles' Rubber Soul. Which of these, according to Karuba.co, is false about rubber? A, the rubber that goes in tires is actually white and then dyed black. B, before the rubber eraser, people used to erase pencil marks with breadcrumbs. C, you can make rubber from dandelions. Or D, the world's third largest rubber band ball came to a bad end when it rolled down its owner's driveway and slammed into a neighbor's car, totaling it.
All right, that's interesting. I don't think a rubber band ball, even if it's that big, could total a car. All right, so it's the rubber for tires is white and then dyed black. So which of these is false?
Yes, all of these are true except one.
How can you erase pencil marks with bread? And the dandelions, you can make rubber from dandelions.
That is
And
one of the choices.
and some guy had a big rubber band ball and it totaled a car.
Right, a huge rubber band ball.
I don't think even if it was huge, a rubber band ball could total. Well, I don't know. Maybe it did just enough damage to total one of those insurance fraud things. I like to see the insurance claim. My car was totaled by a rubber band ball.
Well,
my
the check would bounce, but
my crazy neighbor.
check would bounce. There's just nobody.
Now that I think about it, it could be. So, but the bread? Well, I guess if it were old pencils, and why would you use bread? I'll say the. Oh God, is it the bread or the rubber band? I think it's the bread or the rubber band. Bread. I'll go with the rubber band ball being false.
You're going with the rubber band ball?
I'm going to say the rubber band ball did not total this guy's car.
Well, David Sheward.
Yes.
Well, it's a bit of a stretch, but you got it right, ladies.
Oh.
Oh, well done, David Sheward. But
Wow.
you know how you get, because you weren't picturing it. The largest current rubber band ball in the world. You know how big it is?
The size of a house.
9,000 pounds.
Oh.
So I mean, it could do some serious damage if it rolled down a driveway. But in this case, no, that is not true. Nothing happened. I just made that up. For a second.
It just struck me that I just couldn't visualize even a big one.
Yeah, I don't know how they get the things around there.
The material is just, I don't know. I just don't visualize it totaling a car. But that I was just a guess.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it, but that's how they do it. Well, and one thing it is true that rubber going into a tire is milky white. And then they add carbon like as a stabilizing agent. That also gives it that black color. Who knew?
And then how would bread erase pencil marks?
This is a project for the rest of us for this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm going to take.
Grab some Arnold Rye.
Yes.
It has to be probably Wonder Bread, and I don't have any of that in my house.
Yeah.
So,
That's why they call it Wonder Bread. I wonder.
Right.
Or it could just be the bread crust.
Fine for sandwiches and erasers.
And erasing, right.
The school projects.
It's a floor topping and it's a dessert topping.
Congratulations, David. Congratulations.
Thank you.
David Sheward is now formidably.
The game's not over yet, though.
Not over yet.
But
what is it now? I have 8 points.
You have 8 points. Vicki has 4. Leslie has 2. So basically, Vicki, somehow you have to get 4 points over the next 2 questions to even tie David Sheward's.
All right.
So it could happen.
It could.
Yeah, yes, it could. So are you ready for your next question?
Yes.
Vicki Quade. The year was 1989. Closing today, after 761 performances at Broadway's Gershwin Theater, is the Andrew Lloyd Webber scored musical. Anybody want to chime in? Does anybody know?
What year?
What?
1989.
Andrew Lloyd Webber scored musical.
At the Gershwin?
Yep.
Starlight Express?
Bingo.
Oh, yeah. Starlight
Express. Okay. Which of these is false about roller skates?
Okay. All
There
right.
you go, Vicki. A. Amish people reject cars, motorcycles, and bicycles, but they can and do skate. B. The first movie about roller skating was Buster Keaton's The Rink. C. The creator of the modern roller skate debuted his invention at a masquerade ball where he promptly crashed into a full-length mirror. And wait, hold on. Sorry, hold on. I'm missing my letter D. I'm missing my letter D.
Oh.
Go look for. Okay, talk amongst yourselves. Very, very, very.
Should we make one up?
David, he said.
Which one is false? It's D.
Lucille Ball actually had to, her ankle really did swell up in that episode of The Lucy Show. And so they had to make a whole script up about it. And so she had to wear those roller skates at that party with Mr. Mooney.
Good, good. Thank you for that. So,
I've
I have no
got
idea
a
what
brand
you're
new pair of roller skates. You've got a brand new key.
Oh, I forgot that song.
that's right.
I
So,
think that we should get together and try them. Don't you see?
and
Ah.
Melanie was on this program, by the
Do
way.
any of
love
you
that
remember
song.
roller skate? Do any of you remember roller skate keys?
Yeah, I remember them.
I have one hanging somewhere because I thought it was such an oddity to own a roller skate key.
Yeah.
I've
Remember
roller
when I
skate
told you about getting kicked by the horse? That was the kind of roller skates we had, was the ones with the keys.
Oh my God, yeah. No, I once had roller skate locks, and it was much saltier than the Nova. So anyway, by the way, here's
Okay, say them again.
yeah, and I'll add another B this time, which I did.
Think about roller skates.
A, which of these is false about roller skates? Amish
Right.
people reject cars, motorcycles, and bicycles, but they can and do skate. The first movie about roller skating was Buster Keaton's The Rink. The creator of the modern roller skate debuted his invention at a masquerade ball where he promptly crashed into a full-length mirror. Or D, the JB style of roller skating stands for jump back.
Oh. Oh,
You say jump?
Jump back.
Thank you. Okay.
jump back.
So, but this is Vicky's question. Here we go.
Oh my goodness. Those are all bizarre. Jump back. I don't know why you would jump back. Roller skating. Maybe you would. Jumping on roller skates would cause problems. Would you debut your roller skates at a masquerade party, maybe, and then crash into a mirror? That's possible. The rink sounds right. The Amish. I think that might be right. I'm gonna say the guy at the party is false.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I'm afraid you crashed on that one, Vicki Quade. That was actually
That was true.
In the
Wow.
early 1980s, John Joseph Merlin went to an event in a Soho Square wearing his two-wheel inline skates and then just went into a mirror. And they became popular anyway. So,
Yeah.
But okay, that question does not go to Vicki. We have a steal opportunity for. Okay, it comes up numero uno, which is closest to Leslie. So Leslie.
Come on, Leslie.
Here.
So it's just repeat the whole thing.
Sure.
I thought for sure she'd get it, so I wasn't paying that much attention.
Sorry.
It's just my show. Here we go. What is this for?
Yeah, it's a double whammy, Vicki. Go ahead. Sorry.
False about roller skates. A, Amish people reject cars, motorcycles, and bicycles, but they can and do skate. B, the first movie about roller skating was Buster Keaton's The Rink. Or D, the JB style of skating stands for jump back.
I would think that the Amish are allowed to skate because there are no chains involved. Those other things you mentioned, you said a car or a bicycle involve some kind of
Machinery.
It's a machinery. Thank you. I couldn't come up with the right word. But roller skates are simply a thing that you propel by yourself. You do it on your own. It doesn't have any life of its own without you. So that takes care of roller skating. Now we have to go to JB. I have no idea. And what was the other one? The Rink?
Yeah. Buster Keaton's The Rink.
It was Charlie Chaplin's The Rink, not Buster Keaton's The Rink. So I'm going to say that's the one that's wrong.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I remember seeing Charlie Chaplin skating, and he kept almost falling down in the department store, almost skating over the balcony. So it's Buster. It wasn't Buster Keaton.
You skated smoothly over that question, Leslie Hoban Blake, and you got it correct. Well done. That's
Excellent.
for you. I did screw up, though, as you can see very badly in this question. So the other one about JB was also false. If you had gotten that one.
Oh,
as
Really?
well.
Oh,
'Cause that was a B or
I'm sorry?
was that B?
JB style of skating.
No, I meant which letter?
yes, David, it was B. Yes, David, it was B.
Oh, so B and D were both false.
B and D.
Oh.
But that was unintentional. It was supposed to be B.
Okay.
I made a mistake in also giving
But
you.
I got the legitimate answer.
You
as
did.
opposed to the-
Excellent.
Now, the mistake that I made is that JB stood for James Brown. So
Oh.
the people were doing that were kind of like based on James Brown in
Oh,
Chicago.
yeah.
And were they eating popcorn?
Yeah.
Were they eating popcorn?
That's right.
Popcorn roller skates.
Popcorn roll skate, come on in. Ha. Get down. All right, so here's the deal. We do have one more question in our third round, although David's kind of got the game in hand. But we're still going to give Leslie a chance to get 2 more points to end round 3 of our Today Yesterday quiz.
By the way, did I miss my chance to meet Dr. Sue on New Year's? Did I hear Dr. Sue talking?
Yeah, she was on for a little while. She was on for.
I know. It was the craziest thing not being able to get on that night. I cannot tell you how frustrating it was.
I know. My old friend from elementary school couldn't get on either. I mean, not every. Sometimes you just have, issues.
I wonder if it wasn't that there's so many people were using Zoom that night that it was overextended.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
We had a lot of people. I wasn't putting more than 4 people at any one time.
sure. That makes sense,
Just
though.
in case. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, Leslie Blake. We have the third round question for you in our Today Yesterday quiz.
Okay.
January 8th, 1992. Somehow, an international incident did not occur when President George H.W. Bush, visiting Tokyo and dining at the home of Japanese Prime Minister Kiichi Miyazawa.
Remember what happened? I remember.
I'm going to show the video of this too. Bent over the Prime Minister and vomited on his lap. Which of these is false about puke? A, to help study norovirus, scientists at North Carolina State University built a vomiting machine. B, to help study smell, scientists at Brown University chemically recreated the smell of hard-boiled eggs. Subjects told they were smelling eggs thought it smelled great. Subjects told the smell was vomit were nauseated by the same smell. C, hyenas enjoy rolling in their own and other hyenas' vomit. Or D, the honey we eat is actually bee barf.
Okay, so it's making a vomit machine.
Mhm.
Wait, is that A is a vomit machine?
Okay, to study norovirus.
B is making
A
is
chemical?
making the smell of recreating the smell of vomit. No,
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 recreating the smell of hard-boiled eggs
eggs,
and giving it to 2 test subjects. Right.
and then hyenas and bees.
Right.
Okay. I know 2 of these are true. It's just the other 2 I'm not sure about.
I can't wait to play the video. I'm just.
Oh, you're not going to play that video, are you?
Oh, I hope you do.
It's hysterical. I love it.
I just have such an aversion to the concept. I could never have become bulimic because as a little kid, I was sick all the time. So such a hard, I just had a trigger there was some sort of trigger mechanism. I also never chewed anything was the other thing. I just would eat food by swallowing it. I don't know, up and down.
Well, you're lucky.
So,
but okay, yeah.
I don't even want to go there. But anyway, so.
Sounds like a play by Tina Howe or something.
I know. But I think there's something about the idea of the stomach acids working on your food that changes it that a machine couldn't do. Is what I'm thinking out loud. That there's something about the mechanism of your body's effect on the food before it regurgitates. That would make number 1 untrue. So, and the power of suggestion is very strong. I'm going to say that it's A.
You're going to say that it is untrue that scientists built a vomit machine.
I don't think you can make a vomit machine. I think you have to have the human stomach to make it happen.
You know what I think of your answer, Leslie? I'm afraid that is not the Correct.
Okay,
It's-
so much for my logic.
Mask with a tube coming out of it, and to recreate and this, etc. So I'm gonna roll Mr. Die if I can find it again. Where? Nope.
And why isn't Ms. Die?
Or Lady. I'm gonna roll Lady Die.
Or that's even better. I like that. Or transsexual die, or die
Die is funnier.
die X.
Die.
Die
Guess, medicine. Anyway, guess who gets this?
Me.
Sheward, you have a chance to steal with
Okay.
I rolled a 3 here. Yeah.
All right. So it's A was eliminated, right?
Hold on one more. Yes, that is correct.
So that leaves us with people. There was a test case or something, and the choice was if they were told it was rotten eggs, they didn't get sick.
They were told it was hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah.
Or they were told it was vomit.
And
The people
they either believed it, and depending on what they were told, they reacted accordingly.
right.
Or hyenas like to smear themselves in vomit, their own vomit, or bees. Honey is bee vomit.
Right.
So the question is, which of those is false?
Right.
And it's time for a vomit joke.
Yes.
What looks like bananas, tastes like bananas, and smells like bananas, but is not bananas.
What?
Monkey vomit.
Love it.
Or what's invisible and smells like carrots?
Wait, that's what?
What's invisible and smells like
I
carrots?
know that, but it's not a vomit joke.
What's
Go,
up,
go.
Doc?
No, bunny farts.
Oh,
I
oh,
love
oh.
that joke so much.
All right. So which of these is false? Okay. So is it false that that depending on what people were told, they reacted accordingly, which I think that's true. I don't know how honey is made. That's interesting. I don't know how honey is made. I'll say that, and we've had two D's, and the other D was a mistake. But that would mean we'd have 1, 2, 3 D's if it's the B one. Not the letter B, but the B-E-E.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, all right. I'll say the B barf is false.
Is that your final answer?
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Wait, I've got to give a musical sting to this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm afraid you bumbled on that one. Really, the bees. They actually drink flower nectar, mix it with an enzyme, and then that becomes honey.
Oh,
So it
interesting.
really is bee puke. So, Vicki Quade, I do believe you have a 50-50 shot at stealing this question, which will give you 6 points.
Ooh.
Oh. Welcome back.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh, something happened to you.
Oh, unmute. Vic, you're muted.
Yeah, it just said my internet was unstable, which is odd.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Because I'm unstable.
so what happened? What did you
They
guess?
got the wrong answer, I'm
I
afraid.
guess B barf, and I was wrong. So that
Okay.
means B or C.
Right.
Oh, so do I get it? I get it now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna say hyenas. I'm gonna say it's probably some other animal.
Well, besides me, because I love a good vomit roll. I do. But is that your final answer?
Sure, why not?
Sorry, I'm just laughing, hyenas. But that is not the correct answer.
Oh, it's the test.
So the false, but here's the deal. There really was a test, a chemical test of having subjects being told it's one thing, but it wasn't hard-boiled eggs. It
Oh.
was actually Parmesan cheese.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
So they were told, some people were told, oh, it's Parmesan cheese. Oh, that's fragrant. And they were told the same chemical was vomit. And like, same thing. So,
Dave Lefkowitz?
yeah.
Dave Lefkowitz, can you get a vomit roll at your local bakery?
No, I don't. I'm trying to think of a joke there.
You said you enjoyed it, a good vomit roll. I thought maybe it was something local to it.
Oh, but I'm bum.
Actually, but I can get one at the local pub because I'm sort of a barf fly.
Ugh.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen right now. Like it or not, let's see.
Oh,
Can I do it?
yes.
Just for a moment. It's about a minute long. One of the
Okay.
greatest things ever. And I totally forgot this happened.
Uh,
Here we go. Here it is. And the beautiful part of it, because it actually gets a little scary.
oh, you have it on your you saved it on your screen, huh?
Oh yeah, it's right there. It's right there.
I see it.
All right, let's see it.
But the beautiful part is the music. The band just plays and plays. Here we go. Come on, open up, Bella. There we go.
Oh no, now we won't be able to see it. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Watch that man right there. He's already looking a little.
Yes.
Oh no, oh no. Barbara jumps up.
With the napkin.
This woman over here does nothing on the left.
Is she the Japanese Prime Minister's wife?
Maybe. Oh, now she gets up. Oh no.
Can't see anything. I thought it was like a never-ending spew of vomit, like on Saturday Night Live or something.
And the Secret Service guy is going, calm down. Now he's calling out.
Sure.
Telling everyone, just calm down. Just calm down.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Poor George.
That's what gets scary. That's the moment when it's like, oh, he might be seriously, which he wasn't. He was actually
Right.
fine.
And this guy continues to eat over here closer to us.
Well, there's nothing he can do. Just let's continue. And Barbara is looking very calm.
Oh, I love
David Sheward, I was going to tell you going back to the one about the bees and honey. I
Yeah.
was going to tell you, you said you didn't know how honey was made, and I was going to tell you when a boy bee loves a girl bee very
Yeah.
much,
it.
they make honey. But I
Very,
didn't-
very much.
very, very much.
Well, here's the thing, folks. We have, and by the way, the other thing about that is you're hanging over the chefs in the kitchen, and then things like, we're gonna be in Siberia tomorrow. Just 'cause, but
No, they have to commit. They have to commit harakiri.
really, because he don't like the sushi. Oh no, oh he's fine. Anybody got Band-Aid?
Oh dear.
8 points for David Sheward, 4 for Vicki, 4 for Leslie. You guys give it up for David Sheward, the winner of our game. But we do have a tiebreaker, even though we don't have to do a tiebreaker.
Leslie doesn't applaud. Leslie's like this. Yeah, well, whatever.
No. I just
No, it's okay. It's all right. I applauded for the two of us.
Well done, Dave.
Okay.
Our first game.
Vicky, we didn't win. It's that simple, That's
Together we
Don't make
tied
me
them.
laugh.
Together we tied them.
Don't make me laugh too hard. It'll hurt my ribs.
Oh, what kind of stuff are you on, David, for pain?
Oh, the standard painkillers.
Good stuff.
And I have like a pain patch on my side.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I hope. I
And
don't know, but
ice. I've got a little ice bag
you
here.
mentioned ice. It's just so damned uncomfortable. That's the
Yeah.
thing. There's no way to get comfortable. I know.
Yeah.
Did anyone rush up to you while you were laying in the street?
Oh, it was a whole huge crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one stole your wallet?
No, nobody stole my wallet.
That could happen.
Yeah,
I'll help them.
A lot of people helped out, and a woman, called home and told my husband, and
Oh, that's sweet.
Vicky, don't believe all the bad press about New York. Chicago's got its own stuff going on.
Ah,
Yeah. What do I want to say?
now, did the Chicago teachers go back, or what's
not
happening?
yet. I don't think so, no. They were out all week.
Oh,
Were they taking off, or were they just teaching remotely?
No, I don't think they're teaching remotely.
Oh,
they voted to teach remotely, and the city said, nah.
Yeah.
And they
Well,
blocked.
the thing is, having been a teacher, the thing is, there's a great deal of power, except when you don't have it, and they don't have it.
And they were blocked from their remote platforms, from what I understand.
Exactly.
And they refused to come in, so I don't know what's going on in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's
no.
a shame, though. It's a real shame.
Yeah.
I feel for the people. I know, David, you're not going in, and I know, Lefkowitz, you're not in the classroom.
Right.
I can't believe, I don't know what I would do faced with the situation of going into a room full of unvaccinated children.
Well, you don't know. You don't know who's vaccinated and who isn't.
Well, when you're teaching little ones, if you're teaching 4-year-olds, none of them are.
For a
So
year and a half, they weren't. We know that.
yeah, I have a friend. You may or may not know her, Deirdre Donovan, who
Oh, yeah.
teaches every friggin' day, and she teaches in different schools. She doesn't even get to build up an immunity in one place. She's a sub, so I think that's bravery above and beyond at the highest level. I really do.
But the good thing is she's a sub, but she's married to a dom, so it works. I don't even know what that means. Thank you, Vicki. You shouldn't even know what.
I
what
do.
that
It was
reference
funny.
is. Yeah, it shouldn't even be in your wheelhouse with religious lady you. But here's a thing. We can do our tiebreaker question. We can. We will.
Okay, let's do it.
Pen, pencil.
We can. I have to get a piece of paper.
I got my paper.
You do.
Hold
Oh,
on.
Vicki, how are the crowds over the New Year's week?
Oh, teeny tiny. Over our final Christmas bingos were actually very good.
Oh,
But now we're back into just doing late night and Bible bingo. So it's like reintroducing shows again,
and January would be coming down again anyway.
And January is always rough. It's always terrible. So,
Right.
All right. Well, here's one more question in our today-yesterday quiz. Doesn't mean anything because David has officially won the game, but this is just for funsies. It is not a multiple choice, so you're going to just write the answer if you know it. Here we go. Born today in 1926, January 8th, in Franklinton, North Carolina, is this comedian and television entertainer whose lesser-known characters include Pookie the Lion and Hippie the Hippo. He played himself in a cameo in the 1993 mockumentary The Making of And God Spoke, the fictionalized making of a biblical epic. In that scene, he's asked by filmmakers to play Moses because Charlton Heston wasn't available. Name that funny person who's not Uncle Milty, although he was a Milton.
was a Milton? Huh.
Talking about someone whose name was Milton?
In a manner of speaking.
Oh,
1926.
he's
Oh,
not still. Is he still alive? Or are we allowed to ask that?
I'll throw that at
No.
you. No, he's not.
He's
Thank
not
you.
still alive. Okay, so it's a comedian.
Feasible.
Comedian and television entertainer, whose lesser-known characters included Pookie the Lion and Hippie the Hippo. Played himself in The Making of And God Spoke, where he was asked to play Moses because Charlton Heston wasn't available. It's kind of let's just say that's sort of someone you wouldn't expect to be playing Moses. And name that funny person who's not Uncle Milty, though he was, in a way, a Milton.
I have written something that is a total 1,000% incorrect guess.
Say when.
Just a
David's
minute.
still writing. Hold on.
All right, I have no idea, but all right.
Oh, wait, I spelled it wrong. Hold on.
Okay, I'm ready.
Hold on. I
I'm ready.
spelled it wrong. Okay, I corrected it.
I'm ready.
All right, are we all three of us?
I'm ready.
Yes.
Okay, I'll read most of this one more time. Born today in 1926 in Franklinton, North Carolina, comedian, television entertainer. Lesser-known characters included Pookie the Lion and Hippie the Hippo. He played himself in a cameo in The Making of And God Spoke, where he was asked to do the voice or to play Moses because Charlton Heston wasn't available. That's kind of a comedy thing. Name that funny person who's not Uncle Milty, but he was a Milton. 3, 2, 1.
I put Soupy Sales.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got one Shelley Berman from Dave. I got Soupy Sales from Leslie, and I can't. Did you say
Soupy Sales.
Soupy Sales? Wow, 2 points each to Leslie Hoban Blake and Vicki Quade. Soupy Sales.
I used to love watching Soupy Sales. I
How was
adored
he in
Soupy
Milton?
Sales.
When was he a Milton?
He's a friar.
What? No, well, actually, he's a whole roasting. He was a big guy. No, but no. It was his real name was Milton Sookman.
Oh, okay.
And so he took the name. First, he took the name. This is actually true, and Potato wants to know this. He took the stage name Soupy Hines, Hines. And then this is absolutely true. And then they thought, Hines would have a problem with it, so he changed it to Sales.
Oh, how about
Soupy
that?
Sales. So, and his other, what was it? It was White Fang. Who were the other, Leslie, you would know. The
Black
other-
tooth, black
Yeah,
tooth.
yeah, yeah.
Well, right, yeah.
And didn't he get in trouble telling kids to mail
Yeah,
him
send
money?
money. To send him money.
If I said that as the clue, everybody would have gotten that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, all the little green paper in your parents' wallets.
Right.
gives you-
Or if you had said he was on What's My Line.
I didn't get to meet him at the time, but Jamie DeRoy once took me to lunch at the Friars. I don't remember why. And and he was sitting at the table next to us.
Oh, and you didn't say hi to him?
I was actually in awe, believe it or not.
Yeah,
I
sure.
I
I
was
just
oh.
loved him so much.
I was taken to the Friars once, and Henny Youngman was sitting at the next table.
Oh my goodness. And did you talk to him?
Just briefly, we said hi, and he said hi.
Henny Youngman's agent was in the same building as my son's doctor. And one day the elevator door opened and Henny Youngman got in, and my son went, "Oh, that Henny Youngman." And he fell on the friggin' floor. He laughed so hard. It was, and I was stunned. I didn't even realize my son had that kind of sense of humor, which of course I know now he does. But that
I
was
don't
so
remember
funny.
if it was at the Friars Club or it might have been Sardi's, because it was at one of these theater things that you guys, or you New York guys go to. But Henny Youngman was there. It must have been the Friars Club. I don't know why I was there. And he asked, he was old, and he asked me for help getting into the bathroom.
Oh dear.
And I didn't have to help him in the bathroom, thank God. I was like, "It's over here. Could you just?" I just pointed.
Oh,
at him.
how nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he was pretty old.
Did he tell you 6 jokes on the way to the bathroom?
If he had done that you know what he did in his prime, though, this was a real Henny Youngman thing. He would have lunch with all these other comedians and with other people, and go out for lunch with them, and he'd tell a story, and he'd joke. He'd tell like 6, 7, 8 jokes, and then he'd expect them to comp his meal because he just entertained you. And he did this all the time. He was such a cheapskate. He did this. And people knew to avoid it. The comics had heard his shtick a zillion times. They're like, "Oh no, it's Henny. he'll do 2 minutes of shtick, and then we'll have to pay $40 for his meal."
That's
Right.
I didn't know that.
Right.
Anywho, boy, oh boy. Speaking of shtick,
And
of
it's
Henny-
expensive to eat at the Friars.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
Even if you're a member, it's expensive.
It was. I was surprised. It was. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I think that's the biggest ripoff of all. I think the Friars is just a giant ripoff.
oh wow. It's a nice place to. Why is it a bigger ripoff than that?
No, just because they figured that all these guys are going to be rich forever, and they're not.
Oh,
Mm.
that's a good. And if they renew year after year after, yeah.
Of course, you'd be to save face and whatnot. They do. I'm sure Henny Youngman had the money. I'm not sure about some of the other people who you don't know who want to keep their membership. So they stay on.
Corbett.
I mean, I maintain my membership in equity just because it was so friggin' hard to get in, and I figure I'm supporting somebody else who can't afford it, by doing that, because they do pay money out to people and they do help people out. But it's
Yeah,
just
I get it.
interesting.
Do you think Soupy Sales continued to make money off of his TV shows, or was that
I
a one-shot
don't know.
deal?
I have 2 Soupy Sales records. Remember when he did that takeoff on the spy movies, Soupy and the Secret Service?
Uh,
Do
No.
you remember when he did that? He had the music and everything. So I have the records of those. I
Nice.
I was a true believer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
true believer.
See, for me, it was a little before the time when I was really TV savvy, and I knew who he was, and I see him on game shows, but I didn't see the real. I
No.
remember him being in syndication.
yeah, I
He
only
never made money in the 70s, 80s.
and
90s.
I only knew him from What's My Line.
Right. Yeah. So that
Love
maybe he wasn't
that
making an amazing living, except, someone like that could still write a book. He could still, get cast in a movie by a Scorsese type
Sure.
and eke out a living, if not, make the money that he was making $100,000 a year back in the day, even, in his first TV years, which he was. So
Mm.
hopefully he invested well.
Especially from the little green pieces of paper.
There you
That's
go.
right.
And folks, if you're watching at home, if you do have some of these please. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with and playing with here delightfully in the Daverhood on this January 8th, our 3 wonderful panelists on the Today Yesterday quiz. Now let's really get into what you guys have been doing. So, Vicki, once again, remind people they can go to what? Nuns?
They can go to the green, well, it's nunsforfun.com, NUNS, the number 4, fun, all one word.com. The Greenhouse Theater in Chicago. I'm doing shows every weekend.
In person. This is not streaming stuff. This is
In
not
person. We're in person. You know, the thing is, the joy is that it's a one-person show. These are all one-person shows. I have multitude of people working for me. So if one person says I'm not feeling good, there's 2 or 3 others who can fill in. So, you know, it's always same with stage managers. I have multiple stage managers.
So even if you get, God forbid, sick, if you get the big C, you're not going to cancel for 2 weeks because you have.
Don't have to, because I can just call and put someone else in. So, so yeah, it's very good.
People can get tickets. And are you doing anywhere else other than the Great? Are you doing any other projects like?
Oh, not immediately. I have signed contracts for 2022, so I do have shows coming up.
Good.
But yeah.
Now, Leslie Hoban Blake, you have been doing Critics Circle with Charlie Gross, which is sometimes theater reviews, but it's also interviews and other theater pieces. What's up with that?
Charlie's mother-in-law passed away.
Oh.
So, and Charlie, I think, may or may not have come down with COVID. I have not been in touch. He hasn't answered my last couple of messages. I know that he was taking a test, so there's nothing new on that. But I have, in the meantime, I have finished And Just Like That. I am watching Landscapers, which I highly recommend. I'm watching something called Time Wasters, which is a British show with 4 Black musicians going back in time. Very funny concept.
Interesting.
And I'm halfway through Cobra Kai, of all things. I never watched The Karate Kid. I don't know why I've got. Cobra Kai is like an extended Hallmark movie.
Oh, I've heard of it. I never had any. I thought it was like Karate Kid or something like that, or.
It's the Karate Kid grown up. He's 20 years later, and he's an adult, and he has children, and it's the same people playing the roles. That's what's fascinating.
On Netflix.
It's on Netflix, yeah,
oh.
And it's the top seller on Netflix. You know, it's the highest rating on Netflix. It beat out everything. But Landscapers is truly involved and delicious. And the director of that, oh dear, I knew yesterday what else he had done. He did something else that I liked, and I can't think of it now. His name is Sharp.
Is it a comedy drama, or what is it?
It's a mystery procedural with Queen Elizabeth, the woman who played Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah. I was wondering, she's a
boy?
little old to be doing.
Olivia Colman.
The older Elizabeth. And
Olivia
David
Olivia Colman.
Olivia Colman and David Thewlis, yeah.
Oh, Thewlis.
Really, really interesting. I'm just throwing those out for anybody. David, what are you doing with yourself with not being able to get around?
Oh, okay. Is it my turn? Well, I did do a review of Flying Over Sunset, which was the last thing I saw before the accident. What else? Oh, and I've written some blogs about updates of theater news, like shows which have been delayed or whatever. And I did a blog about a tribute to Betty White on the Carol Burnett show.
Oh, I love it.
And she was on the show like 3 or 4 times and played Eunice's sister Ellen.
I remember, yeah.
And also she was on one of the 11th season of the show was not as good, but she was on one segment with Steve Martin, which was absolutely brilliant, where they did a parody of beach movies called Beach Blanket Boo Boo, which is pretty funny. And also I did a Carol Burnett retrospective of movie parodies that they did, like Raised to be Rotten instead of Born to be Bad. And one that Roddy McDowall did, The Lady Heir instead of The Heiress. And actually, do you remember that episode? And in that episode, Carol, as Olivia de Havilland, puts a bomb in his suitcase and blows him up. And I met during one of the Tony nominees luncheons, I met Cherry Jones when she was nominated for The Heiress. And I said, oh, did you ever watch the episode that Carol Burnett did, which was a takeoff of The Heiress? They said, no, I didn't. So I just explained it to her and she laughed.
Cool.
Of course, the famous, I saw it in the window and I just had to have it.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
What did you think of Flying Over Sunset?
Kind of too smart for its own. What's the point? You know, what are you saying? That we should all take LSD and that'll heighten our consciousness? I didn't quite get the point of it. I mean, some of the music was very pretty, and and the music was very pretty, and the direction was really. I mean, David Lapine's a brilliant director, and the sets. James Lapine, sorry, James Lapine, and the sets were wonderful. The lighting was wonderful. The projections were wonderful. The costumes were wonderful, but it just didn't come together. I didn't get the point.
Leslie, why do you have that?
Because I have a bunch of these things that were sitting here from the time I got them that I wanted to make sure I got to see, and of course I haven't gotten to see anything.
Flying Over Sunset is closing a little early. It's going to be.
I know. Flying Over Sunset was one that I couldn't stop talking about. My God, Cary Grant and blah blah blah.
Interesting. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Oh, and Clyde's is live streaming, by the way. I'm not sure how you can
Is
get
it? Oh, goody! I'll buy a ticket now. I really
is-
want to see that.
It is live streaming, but I'm not sure how you get it. I'm sure if you Google it.
It seems to me that every show should do that. They should offer that option. They'll make some money, and they'll help people like me who can't go, and they'll help people like you who can't go.
Yeah.
No?
At least for like a month. I think they should
Yeah.
do from January through May.
Hopefully, I'll be well enough to go when things start up again. We'll see.
Okay.
Hopefully, we'll all be well enough to go.
Yes, I hope so. For your sake, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, I didn't get to say that David Sheward's blog is The David Desk.
The David
If you want to
Desk.
read about the Carol Burnett show and the Betty White stuff, is The David Desk. If you want to read about Flying Over Sunset, go to either culturaldaily.com or theaterlife.
Theaterlife.com.
That's where the reviews go. David Desk is for the other fun stuff that you write about. So it just remains for me to, again, thank you all, to wish David a complete, fuller recovery. Leslie, I'm so sorry. I totally blanked, and I feel really bad.
I feel terrible. I'm waiting until sundown to write to him again and find out if he's going to answer me this time.
I missed the Zoom Shiva. He was doing Shiva for like days on
Well,
Zoom.
it was Shiva, and I was at Shiva. I went to Shiva twice. I did not go every day, but I went twice. That's so weird though, to be on a Zoom Shiva, with a bunch of people I don't know. I mean, it's a very strange thing to do. But anyway, I was able to get on the Zoom at least.
Well, give my regards.
That I was able to do.
Give my regards to Charlie if you link up.
I certainly shall. I will.
And regards to you too, Leslie. Feel great. Be great. Don't.
I feel fine. I've fallen back into that slough of despond that I was in last year. At the same time, I've just fallen right back into it. 24-hour days, sleep, watch TV all night, sleep half the day. That's where I'm at.
You're the first person I thought of when I saw that when the West Bank Cafe is closed for like another week or two. Well, I was, that's the one that Leslie still goes to. He likes the base, likes the open place. And,
No. I would never go in the basement again, ever.
You like the big bigger place where you would.
Yeah.
But it's closed for the period that we're in. But making it a better time for all of us is having you guys in the Daverhood playing the Today Yesterday quiz. Thank you all for being in the Daverhood. Have a healthy, recuperating, a good week. If you've gotten too close to the screen and my spit is just wipe down, use your Lysol. And
it was good to see you all.
And get yourself some Hortex Barszczyk.
That's a good sponsor.
Savory.
Polish beet juice.
Well, I have to say, it goes back to one's roots, doesn't it?
Yes.
Oh, get roots. And Polish beet juice is really apricot. So, anywho, have a good one. Kisses. I'll see you. I hope you.
Bye
guys,
bye.
Maybe you too, Vicki. Have a wonderful week, and I'm gonna just kind of let you.
Yeah.
Great one.
Take care.
Bye. Here in the Daverhood on the 832nd episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebook podcast. Why do I even bother? Why do I? This is a little better. Okay. Here on Dave's Gone By, where we are, oh my God, we're almost closing in on a full 3-hour show. And we haven't even done our Greeley crimes and old times. I think I'll table the dictionary segment. But we'll do Colorado Limerick of the Damned as well. So yeah, let's do just a little bit. Since it'd be funny if there was really only one segment of this whole show, which was Today Yesterday. And we did say our Dave's Gone By farewell segment. Also, to those of you who may have been chatting in or posting on our Facebook, I guess I can try and go see that. Hey. Oh, Sin, welcome to Sin. Sin has been posting. Oh, and Stephen. Hey, Stephen, thank you ever so much. Stephen, a very, very cool guy I've known for a few years. And Sin says that kids can't wear their masks correctly. Only 20 kids in her school are vaccinated. And she got soupy. Well done, Sin. So thank you for tuning in. Thanks all of you again. Normally my wife Joyce is kind of the behind the scenes person on this show. So she's making the funny noises with our noise machines. She's making sure the Facebook's going. She's posting little cute things on our Facebook feed. She's staying far away from me for the next 9 days, just out of an abundance of caution. I'm so sick of that phrase, by the way. I am so tired of that phrase, an abundance of caution. Is there any other kind of word that we can use? It's like, it's out of just a slight modicum of caution. No, everything is like, we're closing everything. We stopped the show. We're postponing performances. Everything's fine, but out of abundance of, just can't you just say it's a cautionary measure? Okay. We realize we're all being abundantly cautious. We're all wearing these masks that may or may not be doing anything, whether you're in the street, whether you're in a confined space with other people. We all realize it's just a crapshoot at this point. We all realize we've gotten the shots. A lot of us have gotten the booster things. My arm's still... No. I torture everyone at work with that just how bad my arm hurt after I got the shots. For 2 or 3 days, but I play it up to get sympathy. But we're all having an abundance of just saying we're being cautious. But we're going to close this for 3 weeks and come back to be cautious. We're throwing understudies in all the roles just to be cautious, not abundantly cautious. That was as close as I've ever gotten to impersonation of Richard Nixon. Abundantly. No, I did it better the first time. Anywho, I'm Dave Lefkowitz. You're watching Dave's Gone By. I want to give a shout out to our friends at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett, New York. It's not a commercial. It's not a sponsorship thing. Don't want to get in trouble with Facebook or YouTube. I'm just saying. Or actually, it was with Cablevision that had the issue. So, yes, Hewlett Minuteman Press. They've been in Hewlett since the mid-1970s. And they happen to do Xeroxing and silk screening and printing and all these things that you would go to a Minuteman outlet for. This one happens to be in Hewlett. They happen to be owned by wonderful people of the Torong family that I've known for 30, 40 years now. And I found them great to work with. So I'm not going to tell you about any discounts or do any sales stuff. I'm just saying shout out to Mike and David and the fine folks at Hewlett Minuteman Press, and I'll leave it at that. And you can Google the rest. And what else do I want to share with you before we move on further? No, that's about that'll do until we get to now our next segment, which we do every single week. It's all about things that happen, or at least are reported to have happened, in the town where Joyce and I were living for a few years, up in northern Colorado, Greeley, Colorado. About an hour, 15 minutes north of Denver, about 40 minutes, a little bit north or southeast of Fort Collins. Oh, honey, you're just in time for Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Ooh, woo. So, we're going to be doing a couple of news stories, because these are both columns in the Greeley Tribune. And one column is called Cop Log, and it has to do with people seeing things happening in their neighborhoods and going, oh, I should tell the police about this, whether or not they actually should. But they do. And the funniest ones, it's public record, they're collated, they go into the Greeley Tribune newspaper, which I have right here. It's an old one. And they're compiled, and the funniest ones are shown once a week in the paper. We mix them in with another column that appears every week in the paper, put together by our friend Mike Peters, called 100 Years Ago. He goes through the newspapers of Weld County back in 1921 and picks out the weirdest, goofiest, funniest items to our modern eyes that were published in what was then called the Greeley Tribune Republican newspaper. So we mix them up and we put them together and we call this Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Greeley Crimes and Old Times here on this January 8th, 2022 edition of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Leftwitz. So here we go. Let's start with a crime from, and these crimes are new. These happened like last 2 or 3 weeks in Greeley and northern Colorado. A caller, a caller on 49th Avenue, reported kids in the area running up to houses with something on fire in their hands. So, okay, you've got kids, I get it. They're not playing ding dong ditch or whatever they call that, doorbell ditch. No, they're coming up to people's porches and showing their hands being on fire. And rather than call the cops for help, they're calling, I guess, to complain. You know, if my hands were on fire, I'd be running up to the nearest house as well. But this is what people do for fun when you're under 12, I guess. A man on 48th Avenue reported he was in the process of moving, and he woke up to a can of Coke on his porch, and he believed that someone tagged his home. All right. So basically, you know, you got moving people, you got friends, neighbors probably helping out, moving stuff back and forth, and you suddenly notice there's a can of Coca-Cola, and you don't think, oh, maybe someone was having a drink and kind of left it there, was lazy, didn't want to throw it out. Someone drove by, tossed a can. No. Some gang person is tagging your house by coming up to your porch and delicately leaving a can of Coca-Cola for you. You know, I think it would have been a lot less scary if someone had come up to his house and left a big old jug of Hortex Barszczyk, the Cherowoni juice. It's doskonali na ciepło. That's what I want on my porch, ladies and gentlemen. A caller, hello, on 30th Street said someone came to the door with a big sledgehammer. And I think the problem with that story is just a bit of a redundancy. Is there such a thing as a small sledgehammer? I don't think we need the adjective big there. So someone came up to my door with a sledgehammer. We would probably automatically foresee someone with this rather than like, can I kindly break your door down? Okay, sledgehammer. One more from crime of new times, of recent times. A woman on East 18th Street said the local convenience store smelled bad, and she left the location feeling ill. Yeah, you know, ma'am, the hot dogs are just there to scare you. They're not meant to be eaten. They've been there since 1987. Just leave the dogs, grab a pack of prepackaged ho-hos, you'll be just fine. Anyway, let's do some old-timey stuff. These, as I said, were in the newspaper, in the Tribune, 100 years ago, and they've been plucked out because of the way they now read to modern readers. The president of Colorado State Teachers College here has ruled that dogs will no longer be tolerated in the classrooms or dormitories. The buildings have been overrun with dogs in recent weeks. Some dog owners claim their dogs were getting an education at the college. Ha ha ha. And I say, you know, they shouldn't have brought dogs, unless they're blind, but you shouldn't just bring dogs into the classroom, into the hallways. What they could have brought instead was fish. Because, of course, fish belong in schools. Sorry, That was a catastrophe. It is noon, by the way, Eastern time, here in the Daverhood, where we are doing the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. It's January 8th, 2022, our first official full-length broadcast of the new year. So welcome and so glad if you're listening and tuning in. Let's do a little more Greeley crimes and old times. Let's dip back 100 years ago. The popularity of electric refrigerators is growing. Although an expensive luxury at $400, the refrigerators can keep food cold with no need of an Iceman delivery. Also, there's no slime, dirt, or drip as there is with ice. I get the drip. It's ice. I get that. And dirt, okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess they're holding the ice in. And, you know, it may hit the ground before they put it in the thing, and they've got in the ice chest, in the ice box. Slime? Does ice make, where are you getting your ice that it is making slime? And I know it does. I know if you've ever looked in a semi-defrosted refrigerator, and some of the ice is pristine and white and just clinging to the wires, and some other is like, whoa, did someone like shake a can of Hortex Barszczyk, and it just went all over, and now it's frozen and it's clinging to things in a color I've never seen in nature. So I guess I just explained to myself where the slime comes from. In Chicago, 100 years, do things change? I do think they not. A contagious disease hospital is being investigated for experimenting on children. Some children who came down with contagious diseases have been kept in the hospital for as long as 4 years. I think we call that cheap daycare, ladies and gentlemen, back then. And Sam Goldsand, Greeley's leading junk dealer, because he's the only junk dealer I've heard of. Sam Goldsand received a Christmas present from the district court on Christmas Eve. As per his request, they legally changed his name to Sam Gold. So even back then in Greeley, Colorado, somebody who had, I don't know, I guess a Jewish sounding-ish name, Samuel Goldsand, is now just the still very obviously Jewish Sam, like Samuel Goldwyn. Okay, I get it. He changed it. It's a little less, but anyway, he's now Sam Gold, junk dealer. Kind of makes sense. Kind of cool. Let's do one more old time, and then we'll get to some new stuff. Oh, and some elsewhere too. Forgot about that. The Eaton Herald newspaper printed an editorial criticizing Greeley and Weld County. Quote, Weld County is the China of Colorado. While we are the largest and wealthiest county in the state, Larimer County is getting the paved roads Weld County needs but don't apply for. Larimer County can walk over us whenever she pleases. So it's amazing. Greeley has had like a complex, an inferiority complex that obviously goes back more than 100 years. It's amazing. And at least they didn't mention the smell back then. But let's do one more Christmas thing. The Universal Motor Company of Greeley will be celebrating Christmas Eve by giving away 50 flivver ducks for children to ride. Parents, sign up now. I don't know, much a flivver I thought was some sort of car thing. I don't know if I would want my child riding, touching, or even being in the same neighborhood as a flivver duck. There's probably a website warning parents that a flivver duck has moved into the neighborhood and to just, that we'll be keeping an eye on them. Anywho, before we get to some crime or new crime in Greeley, let's go elsewhere, because every episode we also find an odd, weird, goofy story that is not from northern Colorado, that goes elsewhere in the world. So now we're just going to head southeast and fly our way to Clearwater, Florida for this Associated Press news story. Florida authorities said that during a traffic stop, they found cocaine and methamphetamines wrapped around a man's penis. but the man denied the drugs were his. Pinellas County deputies said they stopped a vehicle driving without its lights. At 4 a.m. last Saturday, the driver was arrested for DUI and marijuana possession. Authorities said they found a gun under the passenger seat and recovered the drugs while searching him. The man wouldn't say whom the drugs belonged to. So, all right, okay. The man literally has drugs wrapped around his wang. I mean, I guess you have to ask, like the cops have to be like people in the airport and say, sir, so has anyone touched your penis when the stuff that's wrapped around it? Okay. Did anybody else wrap drugs around your penis that you know of? Were you away from your penis for any length of time where someone could have come and wrapped these things around it? These are the questions that authorities have to ask. Let's get back to one or two more Greeley crimes, and then we will we'll put this particular segment to bed on this episode of Dave's Gone By. Let's see, where are we on the crimes? A caller, hello. Oh, I always, that's better. Oh, much clearer now. A caller in Glenmere Park reported to Greeley Central High School authorities that two kids were, quote, doing more than kissing in a car at the park. Were they vacuuming the seats? She isn't clear. I don't, well, oh, there was some sucking going on. But anywho, a caller, or no, a man on 10th Street asked an officer to follow him home, quote, as per the Constitution, unquote, because he believed he was being followed home the night before. All that would be pretty normal, all that would be pretty understandable, you know, if there's gang activity, if there's stuff going on. But that whole idea of, I want a cop to follow me home because, well, the Constitution demands it. Okay. Yep. Let's do one more. A woman on 9th Street said she thought a group of people talking about the Bible stole her car keys after talking with them at a Walmart. So here they are talking. I mean, that would be ideal. And here we got these Bible belters talking and arguing with her about Jonah and Job and Deuteronomy, and then they should make off with her car. Anywho, it's a wild, strange world. Let's end on this one. I think this one's better. This one is much more my speed, as you will see. A caller on 10th Street reported a woman came into the store and went into the back room to defecate. I did not read that wrong. And I looked this over a couple of times to be sure, carefully when I transcribed this from the newspaper, went into the back room, not bathroom, to defecate. One hopes there was a bathroom in or near the back room, in which case it's not a story at all. If she did just come in to poop in the back room, perhaps in a corner or on a shelf, then yes, I guess I would call the police too. Well, that, my friends, is Greeley Crimes and Old Times for this Saturday morning, or I should say early Saturday afternoon, January 8th, 2022, here in the Daverhood.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Oh, yes, indeed. Greeley Crimes and Old Times only on Dave's Gone By. I mean, you can get these stories if you subscribe to the Greeley Tribune, but only on Dave's Gone By do we do that segment. Only here do we do the yesterday quiz. Only here do we have Rabbi Saul Solomon's Rabbinical Reflections, and do we have Dave's Big Dictionary sometimes, and do we have all the other segments that we do. And only here can you get the unique kinds of interviews that we often do on the program. We didn't have a particular special invited guest this week, but many, many weeks we do. And so we keep tabs on them. we like to let you know what people who have been on this program in the past are up to in the present. We call it, we call the segment Friends of the Daverhood, because that's what they are. They're like friends, they're like family. We want to know, hey, you were doing something great that you came on the show to talk about in 2008. What are you up to now? We'll let you know in Friends of the Daverhood. So, first of all, oh God, as we can't avoid, there's just news before we can get to the fun, good stuff. So, as Leslie Hoban Blake mentioned, we want to give our condolences to Charlie Gross, our long-time friend of the Daverhood, the host, first of Two on the Aisle and then Critics Circle. He lost his mother-in-law, his wife Margie. Her mom died last week. And I apologize right on here. We were going to go on his Zoom Shiva, and we just completely blanked on it, and it's totally my fault. But Charlie, absolutely best to you and your family, and condolences to your two kids, and all best to Margie. It's a heavy time, and Charlie's been going through a lot of heavy stuff. So big ups and shout out to him and to Margie. And I also want to wish and get well soon, or as Rabbi Saul would put it, a refuah shlema to Kimberly Faye Greenberg. She was a marvelous guest on the show just a couple of months ago, talking about her one-woman musical about Fanny Bryce, and she's been doing it in New York and she's been doing other places. Well, guess what happens? She's got the COVID, so she's getting over that, and we wish her well, along with 12 million other people who have the COVID and are dealing with it, and we'll sure get her back on her feet, doing the show online and in person again in the months ahead. Feel better. Now, speaking of someone who has really made the best of a situation that has had him doing stuff online instead of in person, is Hershey Felder out there in Italy. He's got a new classical music-oriented show. Hershey Felder is a pianist and an actor, so he's been doing all these different biographical musicals about Franz Liszt and Beethoven and people like that. His latest is Mozart and Figaro. Mozart and Figaro, and that premieres tomorrow online. Look for Hershey, Hershey like the Hershey bar, Felder like Raoul, Hershey Felder. Find him online and go get your tickets to watch Mozart and Figaro. Want to let you know that I'm assuming this is still going on. I haven't checked. But starting on January 11th this week and running through the end of February, a play called Black No More, being done by the new group at the Signature Theater, will feature our friend Lilius White, who was a delightful guest program a few weeks back. So go see, check to make sure not canceled and everything. But if they are doing it, it's starting on the 11th at the Signature Theater off Broadway, Black No More with Lilius White. Being done by New Yiddish Rep at Theater for the New City. Again, check to make sure it's going on. But it's a show called Crazy Meshuggah Hurricane Earthquake that Amy Coleman is in. She was on our show many, many years ago. And director David Mandelbaum, who was on the program a few months back, he's directing this. It's Crazy Meshuggah Hurricane Earthquake, New Yiddish Repertory Theater at Theater for the New City, running just 1 week, the 12th through the 19th, assuming it's not postponed. Speaking of musical streaming, by the way, you've got to do this. You've got to see this. This Wednesday, next Wednesday, and the Wednesday after that, through the end of January, the brilliant singer, songwriter, musician Robin Hitchcock is doing live stream living room kinds of concerts. Just, him, guitar. His girlfriend Emma Swift is there doing, I think she accompanies on an instrument or two on harmonies. They do it, all the info is on their Facebook page, but they do, of course, want you to contribute to paying for these performances and basically paying for a year and a half when he barely performed live anywhere at all. But he's been doing these concerts. They're delightful. Robin Hitchcock live stream concert. Go to the Robin Hitchcock's Facebook page. And remember, Robin, it's a man, and he's an English guy, Robyn Hitchcock like the director. And speaking of music, finally, she's been teasing this for weeks now, but Eliza Gilkison's new album, Songs from the River Wind, is being released on Howlin' Dog Records on January 14th. So it's this week. Go get yourself a copy, listen to it in all the usual places and ways that you buy your music. I've already heard a song or two from it. It's nice stuff. Eliza Gilkison, her album, Songs from the River Wind. And we have an Austin Pendleton alert. Oh my goodness, did I bring that? Oh, I'll do it with this. Here we go. Austin Pendleton, busy as ever. He is playing Doc in an off-Broadway staging of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, the Tennessee Williams classic that is being done at the theater at St. Clement's off-Broadway right on 48th Street in Midtown. I haven't heard word that this is postponed or canceled. They're doing it. It's Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. He's playing Doc in the show, and that is running from January 14th through the middle of February. And wanted to let you know, the play Skeleton Crew is it's temporarily postponed. It's on Broadway. Ruben Santiago Hudson, our friend, has directed it, but they're taking the week off. Supposedly, they're going to end their hiatus after January 10th and do a limited run on Broadway for several weeks. So when tickets are available, go see Skeleton Crew on Broadway. Speaking of Theater for the New City, remember that our friend Ishmael Reed, who was just on the show 2 weeks ago with his wife Carla Blank, his play, his satire, The Clay, not really satire, it's more of a bio thing, The Slave Who Loved Caviar. Carla Blank is directing that show. It's all about Andy Warhol and his friendship with Jean-Michel Basquiat. It's being done at theaterforthenewcity.net, or, well, in person at Theater for the New City. I'm assuming that is still going on. Check TNC's website. LaChanze is on Broadway in Trouble in Mind, but you have just 2 more opportunities to catch it, today and tomorrow. It closes, and you have just today and tomorrow to catch the revival that is being done by the Roundabout Theater of the musical Caroline or Change over at Studio 54 that features our wonderful friend Stuart Zagnit. Danny Burston is back in Moulin Rouge on Broadway at the Al Hirschfeld Theater. He's in it only for 1 more week. So if you haven't seen Danny Burston give his Tony-winning performance in Moulin Rouge, this week is your chance. If you're not, if you're boosted and everything else, be careful. Estella Scrooge is still online. Danny Burston is in that, and you can get it via Broadway On Demand now through the end of January. Also on Broadway, Chicago, the classic Kander and Ebb tuner featuring Ray Bahour as Amos. That is at the Ambassador Theater on Broadway. And at the New Amsterdam Theater on Broadway, Alan Menken wrote the music for Aladdin. So, yeah, it's a very, very fun show. And also on Broadway, Girl from the North Country. I just saw posted that our beloved friend Christine Lavin went to see it a day or 2 ago. She put on the mask, she went out with friends, she saw Girl from the North Country, which is filled with Bob Dylan music in a very depressing but good show. J.O. Sanders is in it, and he's a terrific actor. Go see him. It's at the Belasco Theater on Broadway. Jim Caruso's cast party Monday nights at Birdland. That is still happening now through whenever. Every Monday night is basically a high-level open mic night hosted by our friend Jim Caruso at Birdland. For tickets, go to birdlandjazz.com. Want to give a shout out to my great friend Evan Seplow, who is the founder and editor of the New York nightlife website stagebuddy.com. Shout out to Dr. Demento, who's doing Dr. Demento shows old and new at drdemento.com for a small fee. Bob Cudmore podcasting about upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. He just had a fundraising campaign where they raised $5,000 to keep the podcast going. You go, Bob. And then, no, his name is not You Go Bob, it's Bob Cudmore. bobcudmore.com. And finally, Stuart Brown playing Sounds of Broadway. So it's a website of Broadway show tune music 24/7, anytime you log on, soundsofbroadway.com. Do check it out. Those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, friends of the Daverhood, those are folks who've been on the program. I thank you all for watching this program each and every week, whether you tune in for just my crazy ramblings, whether you enjoy the stories about Greeley, Colorado, whether you sometimes tune in to hear the rabbi and his rabbinical reflections, or you tune in, of course, to play along with and have fun with our weekly Today, Yesterday quiz. Whatever reason you're here, we're very, very glad you're here. So far, I don't know if I've heard anyone who tunes in specifically for our rabbinical reflection, but we do have one. Oh yeah, every week for like the past 3-4 years now, we've had a poem, a 5-line poem about a different place each week in the beautiful state of Colorado. Sometimes the poems are pretty easy to write. I mean, everything rhymes with Vail, right? A lot of things actually do rhyme with places like Greeley, and what else? And, well, but some are a little tougher. And this week, oh, we had a challenge, my friends. Oh, this was not an easy one to find. We went to Dotsero, Dotsero. This is an actual place. I know you've never heard of it, but it is in central Colorado. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the place, and then I'm going to read a poem. It's not even a dirty poem this week. It's just a sad little poem, appropriate for the times, about Dotsero, Colorado, and our Colorado Limerick of the damned.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain,
Colorado, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we go to Colorado, in this case, central Colorado, a bit on the northwestern side. It's where the Eagle River and the Colorado River meet, and it's also home, this is amazing, to a relatively recent volcano. It lasts like about 4,250 years ago. Who knew there were volcanoes in Colorado? But there are, and this one is in Dotsero, Colorado, which was also an important railroad line linking Denver with Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, Dotsero, this is apparently true, got its name when a map maker used it as .0 to create a map of the region in Colorado, Dotsero. However, a 1934 newspaper article says, now, it's a Ute Indian word for something new. And that explanation, this is in this whole article, that explanation was told by Scarface Bill, a renegade Ute squaw man who was involved in the Meeker massacre. So, oh my goodness, all these things kind of tie together, even with Greeley. But this is not Greeley, this is Dotsero, Colorado. The main industry at Dotsero for years consisted of making cinder blocks from the volcano and the volcanic ash. There's still a crater recreation site, and a crater recreation site you will never find, and a Colorado jazz band formed in 1984 and still playing calls itself Dotsero. They're still active even though the volcano apparently isn't. So ladies and gentlemen, I've had to try and figure out a way to write a poem, a limerick poem, three things have to rhyme together in this thing, about Dotsero, Colorado. I believe I have managed that trick. So ladies and gentlemen, our Colorado Limerick of the damned. A corporate VP from Dotsero, who looked just like Robert De Niro, renounced job and wife for the show business life, and now he's a bum on welfare. Crickets. Just crickets chirping. But at least it wasn't offensive, ladies and gentlemen. A haunted noise there for that Colorado Limerick of the damned. Please send your comments and complaints and everything else to my attention at my my email address, davesgoneby@aol.com. And yes, I'm a million years old, and yes, I still use the Dave's Gone By AOL old email, davesgoneby@aol.com, just to share anything, to send me funny things, suggest things for the show, things you didn't like about the show, whatever. I'm happy to hear from you. because that means I know you're watching the show, you're tuning in. You can also post things on our right on this Facebook page, the Dave's Gone By Facebook page, right under this show or any show. And then you can, if you are a friend on Facebook, you can certainly message me directly. I'd love to hear from you. I try to respond to as many people as I can. It's always great. I'm getting so many people now who want to be friends on Facebook. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It's like, please, just out of the blue, not even a message with them, just you have a Facebook friend request, and a picture pops up. And it isn't like large-breasted Asian girls. It's actual, like, real-looking people. So now I have to say, well, is there still a Chinese person, in Wuhan, jiggering the cables and trying to get my credit card information? So I always ask a question like, okay, just checking to make sure you're real. What's the name of my show? And it's amazing how many people answer. And say, oh, I'm so totally real. And I like your show, and I want to be friends on Facebook. Or we have friends in common. They're in the entertainment industry. Let's be friends on. So I'm like, yeah. And I'm very heartened. And in this age where the only thing that means anything is something that's on Twitter or on Facebook, on TikTok or whatever. Real life doesn't mean anything anymore. It's how many friends you have virtually and how many people give you likes and thumbs up and watch you and how many seconds do they watch you. So it's really wonderful that with about 5,000 people fitting in my Facebook friend group, I still get people who are like, like the show and want to watch it live on Saturdays. So thank you so much. Thank you for those of you who tuned in to us during our New Year's show. Thank you for all of you who tuned in today to watch the 832nd episode of Dave's Gone By. Remember that if you missed all or part of the show, or you want to watch it again, you want to see George Herbert Walker Bush throwing up again, all you got to do is wait a little while. It'll be automatically saved on Facebook, but also we take the full show, we post it on davesgoneby.com, generally within 24 hours of the show airing live, and so you can watch it there anytime. Just go to davesgoneby.com. We also post all our archives at archive.org on the Dave's Gone By channel. We post our audio archives only, everything just audio, at the podcast network, castbox.fm. So check that out. We have all our stuff, unless it's muted for copyright reasons sometimes, on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. And remember that on Tuesday, 9:30 in the evening Eastern Time, for just an hour, you get a random selection, a random hour plucked from Dave's Gone By, and you can watch it if you have Altice Cable Channel 20. So if you're in Nassau County, like South Shore, Long Island, and you've got the Altice platform, go figure, 9:30, prime time in the evening, Channel 20, there I am for just an hour. But truly the best way to watch the show is to go to davesgoneby.com or watch it on Facebook, or YouTube is also good because, since we don't play any music, we're generally not muted or blocked anymore. So if you watch a show and you give us a like and we get all these views, that'd be pretty great. I checked once again just this week, just out of sheer curiosity, and by far and away, the most watched interview that we've ever done, we've had a lot of famous people on the show, remains Karen Grassley. Like a lot of the interviews that we do with really well-known people, we get a couple of dozen, maybe 100, 200, 300 views on YouTube of those. And then again, people might be watching at davesgoneby.com. But Karen Grassley of Little House on the Prairie has like 22,000 views on YouTube. And and let me tell you about this conversation was well over a decade ago. It was audio only. It's just an audio, it was terrestrial radio that we were able to transplant to YouTube, but no imagery. You don't see her talking. And yet 22,000 people, the power of family television, I guess. Nobody's come near that. We have a few other guests who got a 1,000 or a couple of thousand views, but oh my goodness. So thank you. We should really thank Karen Grassley for helping put this show on the map, that's for sure. Anyway, the way to get more people is for you to tell your friends and your family and your coworkers about this show. Just say, hey, I've been tuning in. It's a lot of fun. It's a little loopy. It's a little crazy. I enjoy this, that, and the other thing about the show. Why not check it out Saturday mornings from 9 to noon on this Facebook page or the archives in all the places I have our archives. And we love to have more people knowing who we are, listening, watching, enjoying the show. It's really what it's all about. And it's about days gone by, and it's about time we wrap up this 832nd episode of the program. We expect to be here a week from now, January 15th. We're hoping we've got a guest lined up, but we're really not 100% sure yet. We will let you know. Either way, we'll do what we usually do and spend the time together here in the Daverhood. Until then, try and stay as healthy as possible, even though I'm sure it's not possible at this point. Try and enjoy the winter weather wherever you are. And remember, hey, there's a 3-day weekend coming up around the bend again. So, hey. Anywho, until then, be well and gone by. Oh, hit that wrong. Let me try that again. There we go. And let's roll it back and start over.
Days gone by, days gone by, days gone by, days gone by.
Savory.